This is Right Side Home Theater.
Hey, home theater nerds. Welcome to the Bright Side Home Theater Podcast. The home theater podcast, it's all about the experiences, the sights,
sounds,
the scenes. Awesome. You had a little bit more enthusiasm in your face. I thought I was going to get something big out of you.
Oh.
And then I think you played it down. You pulled a fast one on me this week.
Yeah, I downplayed it.
Oh, how are we doing this week, John?
I'm good, man. Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm much better now. We're getting a little bit of a late start. It was a hot, sweaty day, and I feel much better now. I feel all nice and clean. I think I lost like 10 pounds in water today.
Oh, really?
I sweat my coconuts off today. It was like, it's always, I use this app, so I have to climb in the back of my truck to mix paint, and I have to use this app to mix the paint, all right, for each individual car.
Right.
And it's always on a day like this when it's literally like 100 degrees, something like that. But then you know what it's like inside a vehicle. It's even hotter. So I'm in the back of my pickup truck, cap on it and stuff. And the sweat is like pouring into my eyes. And I open up the app and it would be, sign in. Oh, cripes. And it asked me this like every once a year and a half. I'm like,
right, but it's always...
What was my name? What was my password? And I'm looking it up. And I'm like, I can't see. I'm like, sweat's dripping off of me. I'm like, I just want to mix my paint. What the hell?
You got to get out to put the password in.
Yeah, it really was. It was like I'm wiping my eyes and stuff. I couldn't. It's so great. And then you get out and like, the sweat drips off your elbows onto your legs, so your shorts are soaked, and you're, oh my God. And it's like, you couldn't ask me this like on a nice spring or fall day. You know, It's just like, hey, we're going to send an upload out and we're going to redo the whole thing. And I'm like putting it in. And then, I hate to go off on that tangent, but oh well. It's our show, right? Who cares?
It's all right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's our show. So, but
it's all right.
Glad to be back into my house, into where my home theater is with AC and nice. So, and look at me complaining about heat. You living down there in the belly of the beast.
It's brutal.
Is it?
It is brutal these days. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing.
I mean, it's the hottest summer we've had in I don't know how long, and the driest. Like it is just like now we have. Like the signs on the freeway when we're driving now say like, beware wildfires because like Do
they run in front of the car?
Well, but like, usually it'll say something like buckle up or, it's hurricane season. Prepare for that. Now it's like, prepare for wildfires,
So how do you prepare for that?
I don't know.
But it's like, that seems like a weird,
It was, but I saw it Sunday when I was driving. I was on the freeway, and I was like, "Okay, I guess
caution,
it's that dry."
Atomic bomb. What?
Right?
What do you do? It's a wildfire. It's like you can't prepare for that. That's something you'd say when it's real, right? Like, get out. There's a wildfire coming. Not like, hey, someday you want to have a bag packed. What do you do?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the scenario is there, but. It just was funny that
call your insurance company. Am I covered for wildfires?
Because we've had like an inch of rain since May or something. It's like brutal.
No, it's been the same up here, and I kind of gauge my home theater viewing time by that because when we get rain, that's when I get to I can't
watch
work
stuff,
right?
Right.
And this summer has just been so dry, and even like I was supposed to get rain last week, and I was all excited for it. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna get a day off. I can't work, So it's nice when that happens. Otherwise, if it's nice, I work 6 days a week. I have to take Sunday off, but I take all 6 days because you never know. I can't work when it's bad weather. I've been like 6 days straight, and they're like rain in the forecast, and I was like, all right, you know when it rained? From 3 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Yeah.
I don't work then anyways. So I'm like, oh, gotta go to work. Like,
Time to make the donuts.
time to make the, yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, it's been weird. It's been weird, but it'll come around. We'll get doused or we'll get dumped on with snow and there's a winter or something. I don't know. But
yeah. Well, looking for it right now.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, John, you ready to take care of some business? We got a lot of business to take care of here with, we're growing leaps and bounds here. We've got, our first donation that we're going to go over in a second here.
Okay.
But before we get to that, let's take care of some business here and we'll talk about, how you can support the podcast. You know, you can, we'll save your favorite for last, John.
Okay.
All right. So you can, of course, please go to YouTube, subscribe if you haven't already. That would be great. Really appreciate that. And on any of your podcast providers, rate, review, subscribe, 5-star reviews. I haven't even checked that in a while, but on any of them. But if you do it, just email it to me and then we'll talk about it on the show as a way to promote it too. That'd be fun. You can follow along on Twitter at BrightSideHT. And join in on the conversation there. There's a ton of those going on over there. Did you see me and Braden Russell from HT Guys had a little dad joke-a-thon going back and forth the other day?
Oh, no, I missed that.
Oh, yeah. He had he was stuck in an airport. And he's like, he said, I can't remember what it was, but he said something like, I'll tell you a joke for something. And I go, hey, make me chuckle or something. And then he put out something. I put it back to him and went back and forth. And I think I might even have it in my notes. But somebody's like, hey, everybody, pay attention. Braden and Brightside HT are having a dad joke-a-thon going on. It was
no, I
funny.
Missed that.
Yeah, it was good.
Funny.
Good. I'll send you the link. They're all wicked bad jokes. They're all stupid.
Well, yeah, that's fine.
Oh, I think he opened with something like he goes on. Good news is I have the heart of a lion. The bad news is I've been banned from the San Diego Zoo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You see where that's going? So they were all like that. They were all like that. So we had fun. All right. The other way, you can email brightsidehometheater@gmail.com. You can email us to be actually on the show on Takeover Tuesdays. Had a great conversation on Tuesday with Mike P. I won't even attempt to say his last name, but we had a great conversation. He brings the passion for showa. It was awesome. And anything else, you can go to brightsidehometheater.com. All the links, not all the past shows, but most of the past shows are there. Brightsidehometheater.com. Check that out. And finally, John, what's your favorite?
Finally, Patreon. Patreon.com.
And how
Brightside HT.
/Brightside HT, Brightside Home Theater, I think it is. Let me see.
Brightside Home Theater.
Is it Brightside? I'll look right now. It's patreon.com /Brightside Home Theater. Yep. Go there to support.
What episode number is this that we're on right now?
Yes, good call. Holy cow. I almost forgot. I was so busy putting this together. It is the 200th.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I was just going to say the last 3 weeks, this is the most we've talked about Patreon in 200 episodes. So yeah. I didn't even know that we had an anniversary episode.
It is the anniversary. So. See, if you go on Apple, it says this is 201. It said, because I was checking for it and I never put that into my notes. But yes, I'm so busy putting the show together. John, congratulations. High five from a distance. There we go. There we go. Yeah. High five. 200th episode. 200. Nice. Can you believe the HT guys are at like 1,200 or something stupid like that?
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. They've been HT and AV Rant's coming up on, I think did they pass 900 already? I think they're either at 9 or they're coming up on that. So yeah, we got a ways to go, but,
well, I mean, between our two shows, we got 500 or 600 episodes under our belts too. So,
oh yeah, yeah,
at least 500.
we're coming up on 500 between the two shows. Yeah, 500 episodes because chat's coming up on 300, and we're gonna get to that eventually. But yeah, this is the 200th episode. So,
Well, we're moving on now.
there we go. So, yeah. So, but yeah, Patreon. Who do we have this week, John? Do you have your notes handy in front of you there? Who
I
do we
do.
got? We'll go with first. Let's go with the. I don't know. You go for it. Tell me which one you want to do first, because we have somebody upped because of the donation.
Right.
I'll tell you.
Well, I'm
what-
going to go with that. David Suete upped his contribution. Doubled his contribution. I don't want to talk about the dollars unless you do, but doubled his contribution to us. And I picked this one because I want you to say the name of the next guy.
Elongo Therumurthy.
Yeah. I left that one for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's been. How long has he been supported there?
17 months? Is that
months
right?
he's been on board.
17
Thank you,
Yeah.
Elongo. Thank you very much. And David, thank you very much. So David, he upped his donation, doubled it, and he sent a message saying, well, that's one way to get me to double my donation. You're going to donate half your money. I'm going to give you double the money. I was like, oh,
Right.
all right. And I messaged him back, and I was like, it's funny because as soon as I saw that he had doubled his donation, I knew right away. I said, I was with Jen, and I said, he did that. I'm sure he did that because of the other, it's an exact double, right? And
Right.
then like 20 minutes later, I got the message from him saying that's
Yeah.
exactly why. So, David, thank you very much. Thank you to everybody. Please, it's not necessary to go and double your donation.
Well, I was going to say, David's a trailblazer, and don't be afraid to follow his lead if you're out there.
I'm
And
the
you're
other
on-
way.
If you're on, and if you're not subscribing, figure out what you wanted to subscribe with, and then double that. So that way,
There's a lot of people going 0. So double of that
Well,
is
yeah.
right where they're happy, John. Right where they're happy.
Exactly.
That's not why I brought you on board, but that's why I love you, buddy. I mean, it goes back to the picnic table.
Yeah.
I remember what was that? Scruples? Something like that?
Scruples.
Was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So it goes back to the picnic table in high school. But yes, thank you, everybody. Thank you to everybody that's supporting the podcast. And so let's get to this month's donation. The donation will go out. May already have. I don't know. My wife's taking care of this one
Okay.
because she has a close connection to it. So
Yeah.
one of the co-founders of this, it's called the Safe Coalition. Safe Coalition is a judgment-free community organization relentlessly committed to educating and supporting those affected by substance abuse disorder and mental health concerns across southeastern Massachusetts. Staffed by trusted, trained professionals and peer support volunteers, Safe compassionately empowers individuals and their loved ones by breaking down barriers to treatment and emotional support in a way that inspires success on the journey to recovery. Okay, so I'm going to read these services and then I'll kind of explain what this place is. And the services are peer-to-peer group for teens, support for families, family recovery, support for caregivers, support for grandparents raising grandchildren, partnership with schools, free counseling for children 5 to 18 affected by substance abuse, grief counseling, chaplaincy.
Chaplaincy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I think I do. I'll give you a guess because I know something else that I'll explain in a second. And collaborative care, Section 35 help, community diaper bank, medication take back, Narcan, CPR training, benefits planning, support for victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, RAP planning, wellness recovery action plan is what RAP stands for, and referrals. So basically what this place is, it was founded by two people, John, and I think, did she say it was Jill? I'm sorry, I forget who the other founder was. But so John just lost his son to addiction. And he founded this 5 years ago after dealing with his son. And his son was like, I think 31 years old when he just passed. And having to deal with addiction. And this isn't it's not a recovery. It's not a detox place or anything like that. This is for the people that have to deal with addiction, that have addiction, have to deal with that person. And that's why when I wanted to list the services, that chaplaincy, I think they'll marry that. If you need to get married, if it's a heart, they'll do anything, and they'll deal with funerals for somebody. I think that's what the chaplaincy is for. It's like Jen called them up. She knows them, and this is a place that Jen will eventually. She wants to work there when she retires. She wants to go and put her time into this place. So. It's like, so if you put out a thing saying, I'm going to help you in a situation, like if you have addiction in your family, we want to help you. They didn't know how they were going to help, but it's just as people ask for help, they're like, yep, we'll do that. Yep, we'll do that. And they're helping people with, like I said, with the funerals, with any diapers. Like I'm trying, my husband's an addict and I can't get diapers because I'm trying to take care of the kids. I'm trying to do this and I got to do that. They'll help with anything, mental stuff, all of that. So, that's why I picked that one. My wife's obviously pretty, involved with it. She just went to the funeral for John's son. So that was too bad. But yeah, so we're going to be donating to that this month. Half of the money. So what happened? All of our donations right now will be at least $100. And so for all intents and purposes, all the money that's sitting in my account, in the Patreon account, I'll take $100 out and put that to it. Hopefully when we get up to, 200, if I get up to $200 a month coming in, that will take care of it. And then it will start to grow from there. But I don't want to right now, I think I don't even know what the number is, but right now we get under $100 a month. And then I'll take the rest out of Patreon to cover that. So, but yeah, so $100 this month to Safe Coalition. So awesome. Happy to do that. Jen's very excited to do that for them. And so, yeah. And anybody, if you have a charity you want to put in, we'll do that. And if we get a bunch of them, John and I'll choose. And once a month, we'll give away, we're doing $100 to a charity. So, let us know if you don't have one, or if you have one, and if not, we'll figure something out. There's plenty of them out there. So,
no shortage.
No. And if you want to check this out, the link will be in the show notes for the Safe Coalition. I have the website here. It's safecoalitionma.org. So if you want to check that out. So. All right. Alrighty, you ready to get to some home theater stuff? That was a lot of business, but it is the beginning of the month,
yeah.
So let's get to some home theater. And what do we have? Oh, John, I have my little tweak.
Oh yeah, about. Your little tweak, huh?
My little bit of a tweak. So
yeah.
So I wanted to break this down in like why I'm doing it, how I did it, and all of that. So. And that's part of the experience, right? Like when you did your projector, which we'll get to one of these weeks, you did a lot of research on that. And
I did.
It was it was a GoFundMe, wasn't it? Something like that?
It was Indiegogo. Yeah. And as you guys are hearing this, I may or may not be happy about the decision of my purchase because the shootout happens Thursday.
I think yours is going to win.
So I will either be really happy about my decision. I'm pretty sure Vava's not going to win because I'm still on their Facebook page and not a lot of people are happy with those guys. But
oh really?
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember the other projectors that are in the mix. But I'm really looking forward to seeing the results of that.
We got an inside man on that, buddy.
Yeah. Back to you. Ralph. I didn't want to interrupt you, but
oh no. John, there's no interruption.
Like I said,
it's a conversation.
It's actually already happened by the time this goes up. But
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I got to find out from Ralph. I'll find out. I'll probably get some real-time updates on that. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, because I believe it's going on Thursday, right? The 4th, all day. So, and maybe not all day, but during the day.
Yeah. So for me, that's part of the experience. Most of the experience is the research. It's like figuring out what you want to do. And
Right.
getting the Wayback Machine. When I started out in home theater, like legit had one in my living room. One of the things that I used to like dream about is I wanted separates. And I don't know if you remember, John. Do you remember the Marantz monoblock amps? I think they were 500 something. I can't remember the serial number for them, but they were a Marantz monoblock amp. They had a little button on the front of them. They had a THX logo down centered in the middle. But what the idea was back then is it was a single amp for each channel. And back then we only had 5 channels in a sub, right? So you'd buy 5 of these, and the way they were designed, they pretty much took up that space in the rack. You'd put them right next to each other. You plug them all in separate. I mean, you couldn't get more separate than being a separate amp for each one, right? And I was like, oh, God, I wanted that so bad. And of course, stuff happens, and they weren't cheap at the time, so it was just cheaper for me to go with the receiver route. And then fast forward a little bit to like 2003, 2004-ish, I bought my first Rotel, my only Rotel receiver. But that was my first dip into going to separates. The intention of that was to because it was my first receiver that had pre-outs in it. And Rotel was big they had really good pre-pros, and I was like, ooh, I wanted a Rotel. Don't ask me why. That's what I wanted. I thought they were great. And they are. So I bought that, and then I was going to upgrade later on, get some amps for it, use the pre-outs on that, then eventually upgrade to a pre-pro with those amps that I bought, and that would have been my step. But lo and behold, they invented HDMI. And that became prevalent, and my Rotel doesn't have HDMI.
Right.
So that goes out the window. Well, now you're back to square one, because to get that, all those pre-pro, I'm like, ugh. So I had to keep up with the technology, I had to go back to a receiver, and that's where I was. And then they invented Atmos, and then they invented this and that. And so here we are.
They just keep inventing stuff, DJ,
I know. And
don't they know they need to stop so you can buy your separates?
I gotta catch up. So, and then of course they invent HDMI 2.1, and that was one of the reasons, don't buy this now. You can't get, because it's only got one input. I don't even use a single input for 2.1. So I'm running a projector right now.
Right.
That doesn't have 2.1. And most projectors don't run. The only thing you'd need it for was video gaming, and that's 4K 120 hertz. So I don't need it at all. So not concerned with that. So I'm also in the process of potentially buying a new home and building a whole new theater. So I'm like, you know what? If I can get this, I already have a 5-channel amp. I have a Emotiva XPA 5 Gen 2 5-channel amp, 200 watts per channel. And I was like, all right, I have that in-house because I use that with my Onkyo before the Denon. And I'm like, all right, let me look at pre-pros. So I looked at all different sorts of pre-pros. I looked at Emotiva pre-pros. I looked at Anthem pre-pros. I looked all the way up the food chain. There's a ton of options. Right. But what I kept coming back to was, I do like Marantz. I love the look of Marantz too. But I liked what I was hearing and reading, and then I talked to Ralph about his. He has the same one. I'd already been reading about it, and then I talked to him, and he was like, oh, yeah, it's quality. I talked to Todd Anderson, who has Storm Audio, which is up there with, it's like crazy. Yeah. That's way above. But Todd was really good with me. He actually, I don't want to say tried to talk me out of it, but he was trying to get me to pre-out my Denon, use the Denon as the pre-pro, go with that route first. And the reason I didn't do that was because I wanted to, if it was going to be a slight upgrade to go from the Denon to pre-outs to amplifiers, and then another slight upgrade to buy a preamp, I was like, why don't I just I wanted to do the bigger jump, right? If each one's a slight jump, I want to do the bigger jump. So that's why I decided, I'm not waiting. I'm not going to do it halfway and then do the other part later. The other thing is, I was thinking about doing the Odyssey EQ, the $200 version on my Denon, and I bought the microphone for it and everything, the calibrated microphone and all that. And I'm like, oh, well, do I want to waste the money on that if I'm already thinking about this? And so that's how far back this goes. This is months and months ago. I've been working on this and going back and forth with it. And then when I decided to do it, I bought the Emotiva, as Todd taught me how to say, it's Basics 6.
Right.
A6. It's called the Basics A6 amplifier. And that is 6 channels by 90. Now, the reason I went with that, I actually did do some research on that. And I was looking at possibly buying an 11 channel and selling my 5. And I was like, okay, if I can do that, I'm like, I'll just sell my 5, get a nice 11 channel amp. But when I looked at the 11 channel amps, they're basically what I have, because those 11 channel amps are 5 channels of like 200 watts and then 6 channels of like 90 or 100 watts. You know what I mean? It's not 11
Which
at
already
200. So I'm like, and a Basics amp, it was only $600 only, but it's a lot cheaper, right? So I decided to go with that, and I couldn't be happier. I'm honestly very blown away by the difference, and I've said it at different times and earlier than this, leading up ever since I've been talking about it on the podcast. But it is it's a small upgrade, but it's bigger than I expected. And here's where I hear the difference, and it's very hard to describe. It's in the mid bass section. So I talked to you about it already. I think I even said it in the podcast.
Yeah, we talked about it last week on the show.
The
You talked about it
opening
with Todd
of
on the show.
Star Wars, right?
Right.
Well, that's where I could say, just go right there and listen to those drums, and they sound like they're in the room. It sounds like there's extra bass to those drums, extra distinct bass to those drums. But then with everything else too. So the opening scene to Jurassic Park, okay, that was painful before with the Velociraptor and everything, and it was, I mean, it's loud. There's loud screeching noises. There's loud this and that. It's less painful now, more discreet, cleaner. Just, it's still super loud. It's incredible. That scene is pretty amazing. The scene with the Tyrannosaurus Rex scene, that scene, it just, I mean, believe it or not, it feels like I can hear the T-Rex moving across my screen. The growl feels like it has more mapping going on in my room. And again, it's not like that stuff wasn't there before. It just sounds cleaner. I've talked to some listeners. I've talked to some like Ralph and Todd and other people and Jim, people I've talked to beforehand. And it's just, they're like, yep, that's what they expected me to hear. And it really, really is. So if somebody tells you separates, you don't need them. Well, that's true. We don't need any of this.
Right. You don't need them.
But don't tell me it doesn't make a difference, because my Denon is a really nice Denon. It's a really nice, it is a really nice receiver. It does a really good job. And what the heck is the model number of my Denon? Hang on a second.
I think it's the one right before mine. I've got the 6500H.
Yeah. And I had the 6300, X6300.
Yeah, you had yours, like the year before I did or whatever. But
yep. I bought it in 2017.
Yeah.
So the year before I started podcasting with you, this
Yeah.
podcast didn't start till 2019. So for somebody to say that separates doesn't make a difference, it's not true. And here's where it gets really interesting. So Johnny Speakers and I are having the conversation. He's going in the opposite direction. He actually
he's
hit
going away from.
Yeah, well, one of his amplifiers went bad, an older amplifier he has, and he had to go back to a receiver just to run the system. Okay. And what he's hearing, and it sounds exactly the opposite of what I'm saying. He's like, my bass all sounds muddied, but it's not bad. It's just not as clear. You see what I'm saying? So like, I'm going in the positive, and it's like, wow, that bass, it just sounds so clear. That mid range, it's just so distinct, so nice. When if I was to put my receiver back in, I'd be like, wow, it just doesn't sound it feels muddied because things are blending together. You know what I mean? So it was like, it's just funny how things work out like that. You know, like that two people are going in the opposite direction. We're having that conversation. So, but yeah, it's really, really nice. I love it. Absolutely love it. And it gets me to, someday that's where I want to get. I want to get to like a Trinov or a Storm Audio or something, but that's down the road. But at least now I've got my amplifiers in place. I've got a system in place. If I do move, when I do move, I just throw that receiver in. My son can keep this theater, and I take this stuff and boom, I'm off and running. Just need speakers and projector and screen.
Yeah, everything. If you're going to leave everything behind, then you pretty much need to buy everything else, right?
Yeah. Well, no, and that's the thing. I said this you didn't hear in Tuesday's podcast talking to Mike. I'm like, you know how great my wife is? And this is very much worth repeating. So she was like, you take this, you take that. We're taking most of this with us, but Joe gets to keep this stuff. So he's going to have a theater. And she's like, can we do the new theater for like 20,000? And I was like, yeah.
I don't think so.
No, actually,
so?
I could. And then I was like, no, we need seats. I need seats. And she goes, oh, so 26, 27? I was like, yeah, I could do that. She goes, oh, okay. I was like, yeah. Like, no, but I think if all I need is a screen and a projector and a set of speakers, I could.
Well, yeah, it depends on what you're taking and what you need.
Yeah, I think I could probably do, now if I want to upgrade my speakers and go to something substantially better, like then we're probably going to be talking. But I don't know. Maybe I'll do something similar to my NHTs. Wink, wink. But something similar to my NHTs, and then, but I'll go with the similar screen. So that's probably, $3,500. The projector, I will, probably a 12, I'll have to test them, but Sony JVC. I'm taking my Lumigen. I'm not leaving that for Joe.
Right.
But everything else is fine. I take the Kaleidoscape with me, take everything. I'm like, what else do I really need? Speaker wire?
Right.
So all said and done, it's like I have the infrastructure in the rack. Most of the stuff is, and I have the older stuff for Joe to run the system. So it should be okay. But hopefully that's down the road. But right now, I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. So separates make a difference. Definitely make a difference. Awesome. And then coming up, just to keep this tweaking thing going week after week, I can't wait to tell you about how I wired it up and how beautiful it looks back there. But we'll do that another week. Oh, it's gorgeous. And I got even more to do to it. So, all right. That's a long tweaking section right there.
It was.
Yeah, it was. And I forgot to even put in the sounder. So, oh well. All right. Now, you ready to get to some listener experiences?
Sure.
All right. We got a bunch of those, too. Lots of people chit-chatting, which is nice. Very nice. We'll start here. Omar Delgado on Twitter. He actually sent a screen grab. He says, okay, this was super lucky to guess on how long that podcast was going to be at Legal Beagle OK and Brightside HT. I'm running out to play the lottery with them numbers. He screen grabbed it and he goes, his vote. This was days before the podcast. He goes, my vote is 2 hours and 26 minutes. The podcast timestamp is 2 hours and 26 minutes.
Oh, is it?
I had no idea. And it's like, I mean, if I had known
I thought it was
like
longer than that, but
Steve and I? No, just Steve and I. That's just Steve and I when we did Takeover Tuesday. The one with Steve in it.
Ours
and me,
last week.
Oh, yeah, that was a good 3 hours.
Yeah.
It
was longer than that.
Yeah. Oh, no. No, just
It
Steve
took me
and I.
days to listen to that.
Yeah. I know. You know what's funny is I'm like, that was great. You listened to the whole thing, but I realized I'm like, most of it you hadn't heard.
Right. 2 hours of it I wasn't part of. So
Exactly. So that was kind of nice. Omar nailing that one. Let's see. We got a YouTube comment. Let's see. Lovish Bharat, the Pride of India. Too bad it's releasing on physical in DTSX. It should have been in Atmos. I put this one in because it was talking about Jurassic Park World Dominion and how.
Okay, so what's that in regard to?
Okay, so that was on the a YouTube comment to Jurassic Park World or Jurassic World Dominion.
Right.
And how on Kaleidoscape it's in Atmos. It's going to be coming out on disc in DTSX, and I'm really excited for it. But what I thought was cool is this person here, Lovish Bharat, the Pride of India, he actually prefers Atmos over DTSX, which I thought was really interesting. Because one, we had a little conversation on YouTube about it. I replied back. I'm like, I don't have a preference because they're both capable of the exact same thing. Most people prefer DTSX because typically there's so much Atmos stuff that there is a chance it could be bad. DTSX, it's very rare. I can't even think of a bad DTSX disc. Can you?
Right.
You know, it's very rare. But he actually likes the Atmos. So I just thought that was interesting, and I'm looking forward to that shootout myself. I can't wait to get that disc and compare the disc to the Atmos on Kaleidoscape, see what the difference, if there is a difference.
Right.
That'll be a fun one. Let's see. We have Graham Cole at Brightside HT. Finally finished this podcast today and like to congratulate Legal Beagle on Match Made in Heaven. LOL. Good to hear the podcast getting some international HT updates. Looking forward to Friday. Lots and lots of comments. That's what I'll say with that. It'll make this section go a little faster, but a lot of people commenting, saying, congratulations to Steve. Our listenership is going to go up.
Congratulations, like he won something, right?
I know. Poor Steve.
There's no prize.
I know.
But yeah, I've noticed that we have a lot more of his people the tweets are getting a lot more engagement because he's involved.
It's good, yeah. But I mean, he is great at engaging. He does a great job reviewing stuff just on Twitter alone. He's been reviewing on Twitter with 240 characters or whatever for a while, and I'm like, now I'm giving him, I'm trying to give him 15 minutes. This week it's about a half hour. That's fine. But that's my point. It's like, I don't want to limit it to 15, but we both have schedules and stuff, and we could go.
Right.
I talked to him today about something else that we'll talk about next week. And it's like, he's very passionate about home theater. Bringing him in and getting a different perspective, getting the European perspective is a plus, but also getting his passion in here is a huge plus. And it's everybody. And that's why I'm doing Takeover Tuesdays. Mike on Tuesday was huge. That passion it's so much fun. And Johnny Speakers on YouTube. John's favorite way to support the show is Patreon and not by a small margin. He says, John's been a great addition to the show. So speaking of passion, John's passion.
Yeah, my passion.
That was so great. Yeah, I got a few comments like that. Let's see.
Hey, look, I'm just trying to boost your donations.
Yeah.
So, because I don't see, I mean, honestly, I don't see any of it. So it's not for me.
No,
It's,
no.
You know,
Well,
it's
no.
to help the show.
I have told you we are going to split it when if this grows, we split it. All right. So
Right.
that's the way it goes. And you get a portion. I'm not going to say half. I do a lot back here. Okay.
I know you do.
But you're going to get a portion of the half that we keep. So half goes out to a charity, and then we split the other part. Let's see. And it might be something in it for Steve. We'll see how he does.
Yeah.
You know me. I'm just giving everything away. Johnny Z, again, Johnny Speakers says, at Brightside HD just added Mad Max Fury Road to the Zapedi. The opening scene definitely needs to be added to the Brightside scene database. Lots of side to side and front to back pans and very strong bass. So duly noted,
Nice.
Johnny, that is in the database. I got to find a way, if anybody knows how to publish that, I got to find a way to publish it so we can get that thing going.
Well, yeah, like I said, Google Sheets is the best way, I think.
Did you just swear? Oh, Sheets. Okay.
Sheets. Google Sheets.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what is it? I want it, like I said, I need logistics. I need some, like, how do I do that so that it can be updated by me, and I don't want somebody to be able to break into it and ruin it or whatever. So yeah.
I'll look at it. It's honestly not too hard.
Okay.
You just have to.
Oh.
You just have to keep
Oh,
the permissions locked
hey,
to yourself.
I offered
That's
John
all.
a little bit of money. Here he goes. He's stepping up. He's going to do something behind the scenes. Your percentage just went up, John.
I want a higher percentage. So.
You're cut. Oh, that's. Do I know
Double
you
of
a
zero is still zero, but
I know.
I'll keep working.
Gurinder talking about the downvote that we get. I think we talked about that last week on the one downvote we get. He says, regarding the one downvote, you must now be at the status of AV Rant. Wasn't there a person who was downvoting AV Rant episodes on YouTube? I'm like, yes. And it's honestly, it is a status symbol. You know you've made it when people are bitching about you.
Exactly.
It's like,
when they hate you that much.
Yeah, when somebody hates you that much, you're like,
you've done
doing
something right.
Something right. So I mean, you can't complain. This one here, Travis. Did you see this one? Travis, who's going to be on the show fairly soon. I think he'll be part of next week's show if scheduling provides. Travis Ballstat from he actually is part of AV Nirvana. He does a bunch of videos for them, big into home theater. We've been chatting back and forth for a while on Twitter, DMing each other. And he wrote, decided to put it up on the big screen while doing some other work today.
Oh, I did see that.
Did you see that image?
Yeah.
So, you know what? We're going to give some more stuff away. What do you think? What do you want to do? Once a month? Anybody that sends us a screen
I don't know what
grab.
you're talking about.
All right, here's the thing. This screen grab was fantastic.
Yeah.
So I had an idea for a contest for a t-shirt. We'll do it once a month. Brightside Home Theater t-shirt. Okay. You send me a screen grab. We'll put them all together. You and I'll pick the top 4. And then we'll put it out and let the listeners to decide which is the best screen grab, and that person will win the t-shirt. And Travis put it out, and he didn't do it on purpose. He said, he's like, I just grabbed it and I wanted to send it out, and you're talking away and I'm just blinking my eyes. And so it looks like I'm asleep.
Yeah.
It's a perfect screen grab. But like Tom said, you say, when he was on the podcast, you say stuff that if taken out of context is going to sound funny, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
But screen grabs and the things you say, like I do some crazy faces. So there's going to be some fun stuff there. Right. But yeah, we'll do that and put it out on Twitter. I don't know. What's a good hashtag for that? What do you think for a good hashtag? Like, Home theater fun? Something like that? Hashtag home theater.
Seems like that might already be one.
I know.
You know?
I don't know.
We'll have to think. We'll have to think of
We'll
something.
have to think of something for
Yeah,
this week.
we'll-
But send
yeah.
them in.
Because you want it to be somewhat.
Hashtag
Right.
screen grab contest. There you go.
Yeah.
Screen grab contest. And we'll just have fun with it. The crazier, the better. And then you and I will pick our favorite 4. And then we'll put a vote out on which ones are going to be, who wins the T-shirt.
It's pretty ambitious for you to assume we'll get 4 every month to
True.
even choose a favorite from. But
True.
we'll see how it goes.
Sure. I know there's some people that love contests.
Yeah.
And
When you only get 1 a month, it's not hard to pick the winner. So
I'm sure we'll get more than that. So,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about them each week. And maybe that's what we'll do. There we go. We're spitballing right here. Each week we'll pick one, and then that'll be the 4 for the month.
oh, and then the 4 for
There
the
you
month.
go.
Yeah, that
Look
works.
at that. All right. So hopefully we get one a week. If not,
Yeah.
we'll have to double up. But we'll talk
There you
about
go.
that each week. So there you go. We're giving away a T-shirt a month for our ugly mugs.
Right.
A screen
Also
grab.
coming out of my cut of Patreon money. So
Nah. Yeah. All right. I'll pay for that one, John.
nah, I'm just kidding.
I know. All right. So let's see. What else do we have? So I thought that was pretty funny, actually. I thought that was really good. See, you know what I got to get to? And I missed this a couple of weeks ago. I can't believe I missed it. And that's because I put all these in a folder and then I go through them here. All right. Johnny Z at Johnny Speakers tweets, "Hey, at Brightside HT. Look who stopped over for a few hours to talk HT and check out some demos. Our good pal at Mike Schramm, Love and Thunder. They were at each
I
other.
saw that picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that picture.
It was a couple weeks ago.
I didn't know who they were, but I saw the picture.
Oh, they've both been on the show. They were actually just both on the show back to back a few weeks
Oh,
ago.
nice.
And yeah, because Johnny Speakers, he's the one that he got the Zapiti, so he came on to talk about that, and Mike got the OLED. So that was the back-to-back weeks. They both had upgrades and had been on the show previously. Well, apparently they live close enough to each other that
Oh, cool.
they visited. So I'm like, and I said, I can't. I'm like, I was like overwhelmed. I'm like, this is so cool. Like our listeners are getting together and doing meetups and being like, I'm
Right.
like, that's so cool. I'm like super excited about that. Guys, thanks for tweeting that out. Thanks for getting together. But
Yeah.
hey, we all looking for people to talk to. So I'm glad to put them together. You know, John, love connection right
Bringing
there.
people together.
Bright side
HT.
love connection. So, yeah, that's, I got a little choked up when I saw that. And,
Little
I was
verklempt.
going through my show notes from last week and I'm like, you got all of these things here and you flip past them and it's like, oh no, I missed it. And, I forgot to talk about it last week. So sorry guys. But yeah. So if anybody else does a meetup, we'll call it a Brightside Love Connection. Let me know. Yeah. Omar sending some love, tweeting out, if you love home theater, this is the podcast for it. And he was retweeting our podcast from last week, The Gray Man, and promoting Brightside Home Theater. So Omar Delgado at
Awesome.
Omar_Delgado98. Big fan. He's been a fan for a long time. He comes and goes on Twitter. Really appreciate it. Love it. Omar Delgado, it's not a hard name to forget, right?
Right.
But yeah, thanks.
Not a
Omar.
hard name to remember.
What's that?
You said it's not a hard name to forget.
Oh, yeah.
You wanted to say
See?
to remember.
Hey, when you talk as much as I do, it's not a hard name to
Say,
forget.
hey, Omar, you're very forgettable, man. It's not that hard to do.
I meant to say it's a hard name to forget. It's not.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was,
Thanks.
propping you up.
Wow.
So you,
Boy, did it.
yeah.
I screwed that one up. Sorry, Omar. I love you. So we just lost a follower.
Yeah.
Omar.
And a Patreon donation.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, no. Okay. All right. Let's move right along. What's this one? we had Johnny Speakers set me up with talking to who's this? Hi, Harris, talking about Sonos, Harris Thomas, and we went back and forth on that. And he bought a Sonos Beam, and he loves it. He was looking to upgrade his I think his living room in New York, and loves the Beam. And he's actually going to be adding the two Sonos ones to the rears. Great conversation going back and forth on Twitter on that. So that was pretty cool. I love Sonos. I use it in my living room, use it all over my house, but I have a mini home theater system with Sonos in my living room. So couldn't recommend them enough. Let's see. Next up, YouTube comment. RRR. Getting a bunch of these. We'll skip through a bunch of them. People thanking us. Still thanking us for doing an RRR podcast. So thank you to everybody commenting on that. Keep it coming. Keep the comments coming because it just builds the algorithm. People, shows that we're huge, John. Look at us.
Yeah. Moving on up.
Yep, exactly. Kurt Gray email says, just nerded out watching Light and Magic series on Disney Plus about the history of ILM. If you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend it. Have you seen that yet, John?
No, I haven't.
I haven't either, but I am going to partake. Is it something I should watch in my theater, or is this something I can watch like in the living room? Is it more informative, or do they have special effects? So if anybody can let us know, that would be great. Because just so everybody can get the information. But if I need to watch it in my theater, I'll figure it out myself, but it'd be good to get that information out to people. And we've got a bunch of tweets from people about Malignant. We're going to talk about that later. So thank you, everybody, for your comments on that. Maybe we'll refer back to that when we talk about Malignant later. And WV Brew at Brightside HT. Did you see this one? The 1978 top of the line home theater. Did you see this one?
I don't think so.
It's this crazy rear projection.
Was it? Oh,
television.
that big TV. Yeah, I did see that. The black and white picture. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a color picture, but it doesn't have an image on the screen. It's got the it looks like it's got a VHS type or some type of reel to reel next to it, all in the console. Yeah. That's the home theater. It's insane. It's insane, but it's like people going back and forth, like, what is that? And it's a rear projection, and it's crazy, but just reminds me of. Do you remember rear projection in the 80s? Did you have one? I feel like you.
I had a 65-inch rear projection.
Or front projection.
TV. Or front project. No.
Did your parents have one, or you had one?
No, I had one.
Oh, you had a rear projection in the 90s, right?
Rear projection. Yeah.
Rear projection. Yeah, that's what I had. I had a 65-inch Mitsubishi. But do you remember the front projection systems?
The front projection.
Yeah. I had a friend that had one. Her family had one. And that was like in the 80s. And you went over there and it was probably like 50 inches. And you were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And those
I remember. Somebody had one. I don't even remember who they were. Somebody that my parents knew. And we would go over every once in a while. And they had the giant satellite dish in their yard that was like as big as their house.
Yep.
And then this big 50-inch TV. Yeah. And it was like going to another world.
Oh, yeah. It was. Oh man, yeah. The satellite TVs back then. Oh my God. Yeah, I remember that. And you could get channels all over the world, the world. And it was Even when I had when I first got dish television in the 90s, I could get CBS here and I could get West Coast CBS. So if you missed a show. You come home 2 later.
Hours.
You just you wait 3 hours and you get it
I
later.
The same thing. Yeah.
And it's like, but then they did away with that. Then you could only get your locals because you also had to pay for your locals back then. So I was getting my local CBS. I got East Coast CBS. I got West Coast CBS. You got everything, and it was great. So they kind of turned it all into regular cable now.
I know. They've ruined it.
And we get our last one. What would a week be without a Theo comment?
Right.
Theo.
Great show.
Like both of you, you make the show great. It's great to see Steve as well and Todd add to the show. It's like, great show. Theo, awesome. On YouTube every week. So,
Every week.
every week. All right. Well, now, John, this is the part of the show where we're going to go across the pond. All right. I don't have the sounder yet. Steve and I are working on it, but we're going to go across the pond. Brightside International. Take it away, Steve. Steve, the clock is ticking. No. Steve, welcome. Yep. 10 minutes, right. Welcome to this is your first legit where you had time. You knew, like last week you were on the show. What did you think of that? Let's start with that right off the bat. What did you think? I really liked how I transitioned in, not to pat myself on the back, but I liked that image.
I liked it. It was very cool. Yeah, it was great to see. I was blown away by it. It was again, I said that before when we did Takeover Tuesdays last time. It's surreal but nice. Yeah. It was cool, the fade in, cool being on the show, as it were. And I love the little Cinema George logo, as I sort of mentioned to you. I love that at the top of my screen. That was a very cool touch. So that was great. It's very cool. Really nice to be amongst the crew. You've now got an entourage, haven't you? You've got John, you've got Todd Anderson. It was nice to be in the lineup.
Yeah. In the lineup.
It's becoming like a talk show.
It really is. It really is. And it's like talking on Tuesday's show with Mike and saying like, oh, just all these, how my show is adapted. And I'm going to be getting back to doing more breakdowns because that's what got me going. That's what brought people in. I'm going to get back to quote my roots eventually, but people are responding to this. They like getting different perspectives from people on experiences. We're still dealing with experiences here. So, I love doing what we're doing and people are responding to it. So I'll just keep on going.
Yeah, it's well, from this perspective, it's fun to be a part of. It's fun to watch. I've listened to last week's one. I went back and listened to RRR as well, the one that you did on that. It's great being part of the lineup, the team. Yeah.
Thanks.
And officially, I'm also jealous, as I said to Todd Anderson. I'm also very jealous of his setup as well.
Oh my God!
We could all but hope we get the cool lights in the background and the microphones and everything else. Here's me in my office at home. That's it. Nothing cool.
Right.
Very jealous.
I spent the week researching and figuring out I'm getting something close to that. Trust me. Another episode of filming with Todd. And I'm like, how do I change? How can I get something close to that? I'm working on it. I don't know how long it's going to take, maybe a few weeks, but yeah, changes will be coming from myself. Cause this backdrop, I got to upgrade, I'm upgrading everything. I'm upgrading the personnel around here. Eventually I'll be out and it'll be you and John and Todd and Ralph and Jeff and all of the great people, and then I'll just be running the board in the background.
Well, Todd has had a positive effect on all of us. I've got lights this week. I've got a light here, and I've got lights here, and we're all thinking about how we're presenting this. Thanks to Todd.
Yep.
But I know I've got a long way to go. I've got no headphones because they're not working. I've got no microphone other than what's on the laptop. So yeah, I've got to up my game as well to get to any kind of level.
There you go. But that's part of the fun. Just like home theater, that's part of the fun. So,
yeah,
what do you have RRR on your list for this week? Are you going to comment on that?
It is. This is the other thing you say about preparation. I've got notes.
Look at you.
I've done notes. That is preparation.
Nice. I don't mean to create homework for you, but.
Well, I nearly missed my homework this week. I nearly didn't see.
You're gonna have put your hand out. I'll hit you with a ruler.
Yeah, it was. It literally. I've only been watching it for about the last hour that I've been able to squeeze it in. But that's on my list. I've got RRR number 1. I've got Raging Fire number 2. Multiverse of Madness number 3, and then the new releases number 4, and then Any Other Business is number 5.
All right, we'll throw mine in on Any Other Business. Okay, so let's go through your update for this week. What do you got? Let's go. Number 1, what are you talking?
Yeah, well, RRR is that I've seen it this week for the first time and was blown away. So much so, having watched it, as I tweeted out, I had to go back and watch your podcast and get your views on it. and I mean, it's everything you guys said it was and more. Absolutely stunningly good.
Yeah.
And so I didn't quite know what to expect, and sat down, watched it. I had to do it in 2 sittings because 3 hours is just not doable.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. The word I used in my tweet was exhilarating.
Isn't
and
it?
That I think is I thought it was great, both as a movie and especially as a home theater film. It was great. I've had the soundtrack in my car all week, going to and from police stations and work. It's been on constant rotation.
Yeah, you said that to me this week. You texted me that, and you're like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that had one. So I was like, that's pretty interesting too, because it really, when John was the one that watched it first, and he told me about it. And when he's giving me the breakdown of like, oh, the action and this and that, and then the dance numbers, and you're like, wait, what? Like, and like what, like we said, it would be like if they took Rambo First Blood Part 2 and threw in some dance sequences and music and singing, and you're like, what the? But it works. It works. The question I had for you is this more prevalent over there? Like the Hindi films, and this, is it more, or are you guys similar to the US?
Well, we haven't. I mean, this is my first sort of exposure to it. I've always sort of thought, well, it's something for a very particular culture. And you've got to. I've always assumed to watch it, you've got to know about where it's coming from. You've got to know why it's done in that way. And I've always assumed that and thought, well, therefore, it's not for me because I don't know enough about it. So we've got a Bollywood scene here. They appear in the top 10 of the UK movies. There are theatres here that show those sorts of films, but it's never reached the mainstream like this before, not even close.
Yeah.
I mean, I was first switched on to the film. Have you ever heard of Empire magazine, the film magazine?
Yep. Yep.
Well, the editor of that is a guy called Nick DeSemulin, and he follows me on Twitter. And he put up a post about it probably about a month or so ago, and just said this is something new and it should be seen. And then it kind of disappeared in all the clutter of everything else on Twitter.
Right.
And when you guys, it was you, I think, that was when you said, "Wow, this is worth a whole podcast on it."
Yeah.
As it were. That was it. I said, right, I've got to see it. And boy, am I glad I did. I don't know how often I'll rewatch the whole film.
No.
3 hours.
Yeah.
But scenes, definitely. I mean, the opening scene, it was so good. And so I put up a few pictures of it. Like you did, you guys have had 9,000 views on YouTube with your podcast of it.
Yeah.
And I put up a tweet on, and unfortunately, I should apologize to you because I think I put up a little mini review and said, now I need to know what at Brightside HT made of it.
Yeah.
And then it's over 600 likes, about 300 retweets. And so it must be driving you crazy with your notifications.
No, it's fine. No, because it happened to us on, so the week we were doing it, we had a listener do the exact same thing. It's like, watch all he tweeted is he said, watch at Netflix's hashtag RRR. And he had I want to say 30 followers. He was just like a normal, one of my normal followers that just, not a big following like yourself. You're bigger than me, for God's sakes, on Twitter, better than Brightside Home Theater. But same thing. It blew up. People were liking it. And I think that this is something much like we feel about home theater, is that there's just people that want to talk about it. I'm getting the same comments on YouTube as well, as people thanking us for talking about it. And it's like, so I'm like, John and I are going to do more of those type of films. Cause I mean, it looks like really good stuff, and people are telling you, if you like this, check this one out. And I'm not doing it for the likes and the retweets, but it's good content. And like you said, it's a great job by RRR for basically exposing us to all of this stuff.
They've broken through, haven't they? They've broken through to the mainstream. It's gone beyond just your typical demographic. I mean, if home theater guys, like us, are talking about it in the same breadth as classic movies, it's done its job, isn't it? And hopefully Netflix will realize that, because they're quite smart operators. Yeah. And so I'm sure they'll be thinking, right, what else of these because the two main leads are clearly superstars already over there from what I
Right.
can see from Twitter.
Right.
So I'm sure that there are a whole ton of movies. This is probably RRR is probably the heat of, think you've got the two, Pacino and De Niro together on screen for the first time. It's probably like that, but with a Hindi version of it. So yeah, hopefully, I'll watch anything that comes through now with those two in, because they were great.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing. I absolutely love that, and I know I'm behind the curve a little bit on that.
We all are.
So the next one then, Raging Fire. Now this one. The reason I raised this one is because it came out here a little while ago in 4K disc. This is talking about Heat. This is a sort of Hong Kong martial arts version of it with Donnie Yen, and it's been out here since February, but I think it's recently come out over there. And what tweaked my attention to it this week is that they've just dropped the price down to about £15, so that's about $20.
Yeah.
And that is well worth picking up. That is demo worthy Atmos and 4K HDR as well. And I think I tweeted out ages ago, and it kind of came and went. But if you haven't got it, DJ, or if anyone listening that wants to try it out, that is very, very much recommended. So it's dropped price here. It's not been out there very long. I think it might be an exclusive with Best Buy, maybe.
I'm looking right here. Oh, I'm seeing all UK stuff. $22.99. Raging Fire.
I'm sure it's there. I don't think it's been out long.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Oh wow.
So,
I'll have to look into this one. Yeah. Look into how I can get it over here.
If you're gonna get the UK one, DJ, go to Zavvi. It was a Zavvi exclusive for a while, and it's £15, and I think there's 30% off. So it's come right down. One of my followers mentioned it, and as soon as I saw that, I'm like, well, that's demo level content, audio, video, and it's a great movie as well. And while we're talking about foreign films, that's one that's well worth picking up if you're into that kind of stuff. I don't know if you are. Are you a martial arts movie kind of guy?
I do like martial arts. I do. John really likes them. So John's really
curious to see what he thinks of that.
Yeah, John likes them a lot. He likes them more than I do. Not to say that I don't like them, but but yeah, I grew up on Bruce Lee. I mean, I love martial arts movies, stuff like that. Yeah,
we all did at a certain age, didn't we?
Like we were like fascinated by him. But we're definitely gonna check that out.
Be very curious to see what John makes of that. But but he's not buying discs, is he, at the moment? So I've discovered. So of course,
saving his pennies.
Yeah, well, there we go.
Cool.
But that's well worth it. That's really cool.
All right. Next up.
Right. So homework. Right. So I raised my right hand last week and said that I would watch Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Sort of drum roll. You were 100% right.
Nice.
100% right.
All right. Thank you very much. We're done this week, Steve. Awesome. What'd you like? What did you think?
It sounds exactly as you would want it, or at least need it to sound.
Correct.
Is it going to rattle the pictures off the walls with the bass? No. But does it still give it punch? Do the characters still feel strong and big and does it have presence? 100%.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I think it is. And remember I said how much I fell in love with the Disney Plus stream of the IMAX enhanced stream. This is noticeably better, both audio and video. And I think even on a quick look, you can see the difference.
Yeah.
Video wise, I noticed all kinds of details I didn't see before. At the beginning, you see straight, the scars he's got on his hands.
Yes.
They're almost imperceptible on the Disney stream. On this, you can see them clearly.
Right.
There is mucus on the octopus thing at the beginning. There's lots of mucus on it, which I did not see in the Disney one. It just didn't come out to me at all, even on the bigger screen, as it were, because it was IMAX. And yet you can see it very clearly on this. I think the color saturation's better. It's purer, leaps off the screen more. And yeah, I think the bass is stronger, better. It is actually much better than the Disney Plus, even though I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyone saying this is not is an mouse track is talking nonsense.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, it's and there's more to the movie. It's like, yes, is it one of the most dynamic tracks out there? No, especially if you jump around from different movies to different movies like I do. you'll go in one movie and out to another movie, and you'll be like, wow, this definitely isn't as dynamic. But when you watch a movie from beginning to end, that's a different reference of quality, and you're like, oh wow, this is great. And that's what I feel like when people say, and they microcosm it down to this one instance, it's like you're taking out the entire experience that is involved. And what I don't like is, what I feel bad for is that a lot of people might miss out because they read a certain headline and said, oh, well, that's not worth buying it then, when you're really missing out on the in total experience. And that's kind of how I founded this whole idea. It's like, I wanted to combat that a little bit, but yeah, I was glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I love the film, and again, this presentation of it really is better than the already excellent stream, and it's probably one of the first times I think I've properly really looked at the two and A/B'd it. It's the first time, and it's very clear. So yeah, I'm excited to finish it. I'm only about an hour and a half into it, but what I've seen is absolutely fantastic. So the person that you and I both know that we're not going to name is wrong.
It's wrong. Hey, he's entitled to his opinion, and you know what? If nothing else, his opinion allowed us to talk about it with even more enthusiasm. So there you go.
We canceled him out.
Exactly. That's the idea. It's like, that's why I like everybody's opinions. So
there you go. That's it. There we go. If we all agreed, it wouldn't be as much fun, would it?
No. And we're going to get to that at the end of this podcast too, by the way.
Okay. And the last thing I had then was, again, I think I mentioned last time, the new release is coming out over here. Because of course, when we're recording these, we're a week kind of behind, aren't we? So, so Get Carter and finally Edge of Tomorrow come out here tomorrow. So I get those. Yeah, I'll get those tomorrow. They're on their way to me, as it were. Nice. So finally, for next time, I'll be able to chip in with that base issue that it's at the beginning of it. Those are two big movies that are out here this week. Obviously, you guys have already had Edge of Tomorrow, but Get Carter's quite a big release here. It's a Michael Caine film from the 70s. Which we're looking forward to. So nice. I will watch that as soon as I can. Oh, the other one I forgot to as well, Hurt Locker. That's what I saw this week as well, which that's got a hell of an Atmos track.
Yeah, doesn't it? Yeah. I want to, we talked about that before. I want to take that one in. I haven't watched that in a while. And like I said, it was one of the first ones I bought on the Kaleidoscape. I still haven't watched it yet, but it's definitely one of those demo worthy.
You can pop it on the opening sequence where obviously what happens to Guy Pearce happens. Spoiler alert, we're not going to mention him or Patrick Stewart. The opening sequence, the bass on that is as the tension builds. It to me, as I was watching it, I felt there was a giant on top of the ceiling, just banging down with his foot. It really does have some power to it. And some lovely incidental sounds. The immersion's really good. You can hear, jets, fast movers coming over the top. You can hear helicopters and dogs barking, and it's really nice. The video isn't, it was shot on 16 millimeters. There's only so much that 4K can do with that. Yeah. But the audio is worth the purchase alone. Yeah. So definitely well worth picking up. And that's a new one here, and that's a Zavvi exclusive. So you can only get it from them. It's not cheap. It's about £30, so it's about $40, I think. But it's well worth it, I think, if you like the film.
Cool. It is good. It's a good movie too. So
it's a great film, and it still holds up. You would have thought time might not have been very kind to certain films from that era of the Iraq conflict and that kind of thing. But actually, it does hold up. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. It's like I said, I haven't seen it in a while, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. So might be trying to take that in before we talk again. But one I did take in, Malignant.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So you have Midway, I have Malignant.
Oh, really? Uh-oh.
So my wife, now I can't say I wasn't entertained. I was entertained, but you are right that it is crazy, because I'm like, and here's the thing, and this is what I said to my wife. My wife watched it, and we were both like, we both have critique. I don't want to talk spoilers. Maybe you and I can talk off air, but it's one of those it was a decent home theater experience. I wouldn't say it had, I honestly, I can't think of anything that I'd be like, oh my God, you got to check out this scene or something like that. But we had a day and we were like, all right, I'm like, hey, Steve says this is supposed to be great. It's supposed to be bonkers. So we watched it. And at the end, we're both like, well, it is bonkers, but it's just like, I couldn't, when you get to the end, I had already kind of figured it out. You're never going to figure that out. Right. But I kind of had the idea of what was going on, but it's just that I was like, I like a little bit more based in reality.
Yeah. I mean, if you ever watch it again, and I appreciate probably won't based on that.
I own it. I bought it.
Then every day at least.
Right. Start my day.
You will see that again, spoiler free, the character that is revealed ultimately is there
I know.
throughout.
It is. It is. So it's fantastic. I get that part. I get the storytelling part, right?
Yeah.
I get how they actually, when you're watching the movie, you're like, is that just, at first you're thinking, oh, that's just bad, like CGI or something, but it's not. It's all there. No. And that's why I kind of figured out what was going on, because I took that stuff as literal. One of the scenes is in the trailer when a character runs inside the wall, right? And it's in the trailer, and you're like, why did they run like a spider? And you find out later why. But that's early on in the movie. It's in the trailer, and it's just, but it's that part at the end that, like, my wife and I, we actually discussed a way, like, that actually could have been better if they did it this, it almost like they went a little too far, but but
it is crazy.
Bonkers.
It is crazy.
It is.
But I like the home theater experience. I mean, I wonder now whether, because I had the Blu-ray first. The Blu-ray came out here first, 1080p. Then they released it and reissued it in 4K, and so all rushed out and bought that again. And the HDR I thought was lovely, right from the very first sort of shots of the sort of the I don't know if it's a hospital or an asylum. It might be up on the hill, and you've got the moon, and you've got the moonlight.
It was gorgeous. That was gorgeous, right? It was. But it was one of those that, like I said, like the HDR in this, I didn't really feel like Last Night in Soho, for instance. That's got a lot of like neon. It's got bright. It's got tones to it that are setting the stage for different scenes to that horror movie. You know what I mean? Whereas I feel like Malignant, the HDR didn't play into the story as much, other than it being really nice, and so that's how I meant, like, it really wasn't something that I was like, oh, you got to check this out for this reason. But no, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't like, oh, wow. Differing opinions there, Steve. Different opinions.
I'm pleased that you tried it and so quickly as well. I had a feeling you might never get round to it, so I'm glad that you at least you gave it a go and tried it. And did Jen? That's your wife, isn't it?
Yep,
did she feel
Jen.
the same way?
She liked it. She was entertained. She was, and it was funny. We were like a third into the movie, and like I said, this is what, for me with horror movies, I'm too busy trying to figure out what's going on, looking for the reality, looking for this. And I go, well, I figured it out. And she goes, what is it? I go, well, I don't want to ruin it for you. And it was like, and then when we got towards the end, I finally did tell her, like halfway through or so. And then we get to the end and she goes, you were right. You were right. You were right. Yeah. And then it was like, then you see that, but it was a little twist on what I was saying. But yeah, it's entertaining. For me, it's a rental. For me, I would. I don't mind owning it, but believe me, I've owned far. I own far worse. But
hashtag Hurricane Heist.
Oh no! I still like that one. I'll watch that one again. I'll watch Malignant again some night, like maybe in October or something. Not this October,
Yeah.
but in October, and my wife and I'll be like, "You want to mess around with that one again? That was pretty funny."
It's only got a 7.1 track as well, but upmixed in Neural X. I seem to remember
Yeah.
there's some punchy stuff in there.
There's some punch to it. There's some punch. There's some things moving around your room. It did have some activation. There was a quiet scene that I did know. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head right now, but I did make note of, like, in my head. I'm like, that was actually pretty cool. But it was a quiet, subtle thing off to my right, I believe. But I mean, it's engaging soundtrack and stuff. But again, not like I'd be like, oh, well, I got to stamp this one out. This is great.
Yeah, you're not going to pick it as and you wouldn't pick it to demo scenes for anybody either, because it's a film that I think you've got to see from beginning to end. It builds a story
Front to
if you
back.
show someone the end of that, they're going to think, what the hell, you know? So I think you kind of have to see it all the way through. But I've got some friends that are horror fans, and I'm thinking, oh, this will be great for an evening, and chuck it on and let them see it. And I've recommended it to a number of people, so I'm hoping that they like it as well.
It's a horror movie.
Yeah, it's James Wan all over, And the scene in the jail cell, again, won't spoil it, but the scene in the jail cell, the police station, a taxi, it's just like, it's almost like The Boys. It's like, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing?
Yeah,
it's just gone absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it does get crazy. Yeah, gets very graphic, crazy.
It doesn't give you time to digest the twist either. It goes straight into it. As soon as you've seen this, before you can really think about it, it's just bang, 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 bang.
Exactly.
I'm a sucker for all this kind of stuff. I prefer a straight slasher movie. That I'm a child of the 80s. What can I say? So a straight slasher movies would be my horror favorite. But as someone who's not such a fan of the kind of the Ring type movies, the kind of the haunted house type films.
Right.
This kind of stuff speaks to me in a way that those other ones perhaps don't.
Yeah.
And then I gravitate more towards I hate to use the phrase. It's from the recent Scream film, elevated horror. So The Witch, Midsummer. I absolutely love those films. And so this is way below that. But otherwise, slasher movies, that kind of stuff. That's all my bag. As I said, child of the 80s. What can I say?
Yeah, exactly. So.
Well, not born in the 80s, but with the 80s horror.
Exactly. That's when we were. Our minds were molded. That's when our minds, our minds were just clay, and now look at them; they're a mess.
Well, there we go. Yeah, I think that's probably fair.
Yeah. So, is that all we have this week?
That's all. That's all I've got. Yeah, that's everything for this week.
I'll let you get back to your football.
Yeah, I don't know what the score is, actually. I should be checking. I haven't checked on it. I haven't heard any screaming from outside, so I suspect it's still 0-0.
Good.
England, Germany, European final. England have never won it. The women have never won it. And it's the old footballing enemy. So, yeah, it's a hell of a game.
So look at you, dedicated to this podcast already, taking time out from that. Thank you very much, Steve. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure, Peter.
We'll be back.
Definitely my pleasure.
You'll George us next week, right?
Oh yeah. You can't stop me, Georgie. That's right. I'm a Georgia. That's for sure.
Yep.
And we're back.
And we're back.
I just flew in from London, and boy, am my arms done.
And we're back. We're back. You ready to get? Well, I have the graphic up already. While we were waiting for me and Steve to finish talking, I pulled the graphic up. Like how I incorporated that? Yeah, neato. Yeah. Great conversation with Steve. Thank you, Steve. We will be talking more about Malignant in a little bit. John has partaken in the event that is Malignant.
Yes. Yes, I was not instructed, but encouraged.
Did I ask you to watch it?
You didn't. I think Steve did.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. I have him to thank.
Oh, well, that's why I watched it.
For that.
So that'll be good. New segment to the show coming up at the end.
Yeah.
So, all right. This week's upcoming releases. Coming up, 4K releases coming on Tuesday, August 9th. We have Heat in 4K.
Good movie.
It is. It's a very good movie. The 4K disc, okay, I heard from Ralph. Ralph and I talked about it. I love his review on it. And I haven't talked a lot about this. I've had it on Kaleidoscape for a while. And the 4K of disc of this is apparently very similar to the Kaleidoscape in that I don't think you're going to be overly impressed with it. It's not like you're going to walk home with it and be like, oh my God, this is, you will say it's the best it's ever looked and the best it's ever looked and sounded,
Right.
I should say, right? But it's not the type of movie that you're going, this is a more, and this is what I said to Ralph, I'm like, it's a little bit more cerebral type of a movie
Right.
where this is like part of cinema. Ambulance is, they both have bank robbers. They both have bank robberies, right? Ambulance is a 4K Dolby Atmos juggernaut. This is a piece of cinema history, okay? I recommend picking it up because of that. But I can't say that you're going to go home and be like, oh my God, this is, like Psycho.
Right.
When you take that home in black and white, the sound, the picture, you're going to be, oh my God, this is amazing. Heat, not so much. Still worth picking up, in my opinion. But that's coming on Tuesday. We also have Event Horizon. I am going to be picking, I keep checking my Kaleidoscape. It doesn't have this version, the 4K converted. I don't think. Maybe it's been updated. Last time I checked, I don't think it has. So I'll be picking this one up. Also, Sonic the Hedgehog. Whoops, wrong direction. Oh,
Which I haven't seen, but I hear it's great. And I hear it's great for like sound, like Atmos and all that are
Yeah.
supposed to be really good on it.
it's that's what I've heard, and that's what I wanted to ask people about. I'm like, it's one of those I didn't see the first one. And I was hoping
Yeah, I haven't
listeners
either.
could let us know. I'm like, if it's definitely something like it's a great home theater experience, I'll pick it up because I've actually heard the movie's pretty good too.
Yeah, I've
It's
heard
kinda
really good
fun.
things about it.
It's-
I just haven't bought
It's
it.
not something I would just like run out and buy myself. But if people tell me like the home theater experience is really good, then I'll pick it up. I'll grab it for sure because it looks to me, just the colors and everything being a video, it looks like the HDR is going to be a lot of fun.
Right.
So that would be fun to experience. So let us know because that would be one that I'd love to check out if it's worth it. Next up, Doom in 4K from 2005. Carl Urban and The Rock.
Oh yeah. I was
Carl
like,
Urban
Doom,
got
what is
top
that?
billing
Right.
over The Rock. It says
Over The
Carl
Rock.
Urban and The Rock. No. It's The Rock and everyone
Well,
else.
Not then, I guess.
I guess, yeah. But on the 4K cover, it's got The Rock is Dwayne Johnson
Right.
is leading the way. But it's the unrated extended edition. I think I've never seen this movie.
I don't know if I've seen it either.
Yeah, I've never seen this movie. So this is another one I'm gonna
Pretty
be.
sure it's a video game movie, right? Isn't that a video?
Oh
game?
yeah. Oh yeah. That's Doom. That's like that. That was like
Like a FPS.
yeah, first person 3D. Doom was like one
Yeah.
of those 3D games. Like what is it? Wolfenstein was the other one
Right.
that was on that you played all these on the computer. These were before.
I played Wolfenstein. Yeah, I probably played Doom also.
Yeah.
They all kind of run together after a while.
Yeah. I remember going over people's houses and playing them on their PCs because
Right.
they had the most powerful graphics cards that could really run those 3D hallways that you had to run down.
Right.
That's all it was a 3D. They
Yes.
just did perspective. We called it 3D. And then last this week, I'm going to talk about last week's Flatliners.
Oh, okay.
I have it. I haven't had a chance to check it out, but I picked up Flatliners from Arrow Video in 4K HDR. I'm looking forward to it. I'm not even sure what it has for a soundtrack on that. Let me see. Oh, DTS Master Audio 5.1. So
Nice.
Can't wait to check that one out. Again, Arrow Video, stuff like that. All those like boutique studios, those aren't available on Kaleidoscape. So if you want the best possible, gotta go shopping. But that's what we're doing. So that is it for upcoming next week. We also, BBC's The Green Planet. If anybody's interested in that, that's also coming
I
out.
love those. Those things
Do you buy
are
them,
always
though?
good home theater. I don't buy them.
Right,
But they're
can't you
always
get
great
them?
home theater experiences.
Aren't they?
You know?
But you could stream those and they look fantastic.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, Netflix has a bunch of those, and they're always, BBC.
I think the last
America
nature
puts
one I bought was an IMAX enhanced one, and it was back when it first came out, and I wanted to see like what it was all about, like how good it was. And that was the only title, so you're like, okay, I'll look at bugs.
But I do watch all those, like Blue Planet, Green Planet,
Yeah.
whatever. I watch all of that stuff, but
Yeah.
I don't buy them though. So
Yeah.
I guess I probably won't buy this one either. But
I'm not even sure if they're on Kaleidoscape. I haven't looked. I haven't looked.
I'm sure there's some selection of them on there. They've
Yeah.
got to have something.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I'm sure. And like you said, they're home theater demoed material for sure.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
They usually are. The way they shoot those things. Oh, it's gorgeous. So, all right, that'll do it for upcoming 4K releases next Tuesday. You ready for your real HT experiences, John? You ready for
Yeah,
this?
not much really. I don't have a lot.
We got a few.
But
Yeah, we got a few. All right, let's get this projector warmed up. There we go. Nice bright white image on the screen there on YouTube.
yeah.
I've got 3. You've got 2. We have 2 of the same. We'll save. We both have Malignant, but we'll do a little home theater part of it before our final thing. Talk about that. And then we have our main topic.
Right.
So I'll go with my first one since I have one more than you. So Batman Begins. I honestly, I can't tell you what got me here.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was like, oh man, I need to watch this movie. But you know what it was? It was the Marantz. I was like, oh, let me see what it sounds like. And you know that scene that when they're this is in Batman Begins when he's training and they're him and Christian Bale and Liam Neeson are out on the ice and they're a little sword fight. Amazing. And it always has sounded amazing. But I was like, I'm going to watch that. And at first I was just going to jump to that scene. I ended up watching the entire thing. And it is
The whole thing.
Oh my God. I just went down that rabbit hole and it is such a great movie. And then of course, and this isn't one of my movies, but I had to go back and watch The Batman.
Right.
And like just watch and I'm like, the Batman, Nolan's Batman, now that I've had some time away from The Batman, and Nolan's Batman is so good. It's just, and I'm hoping the Batman can continue what they had with that, but home theater wise as well. Both of them are just really, really good. And there's so much demo material through these movies. And like I said, that one that I'm picking for this week with that ice scene, and when so good. Listening to that ice crack, the way the bass moves, and it actually spreads out past your room. And I don't know how you do that in a sound mix, but it does. It sounded amazing. Sounded awesome, and absolutely love it. And 4K wise, it looked beautiful too. I hadn't seen this one since it's another one of those things. I haven't seen it since I put the Lumigen in, and getting the 4K and the HDR with this just looks so nice. And the blue skies, the way the ice looked, the blue skies, when he's climbing the mountain, that flower, how good that flower looks when he's handing it up. There's just pulling things out that I had never seen before. And it's so much fun. So much fun. So, all right. What do you got? Oh, I know what you have here. This is
doesn't really require a lot of talk because we talked about it last week.
Yeah.
But, you inspired me. I said during the show that I was probably going to go watch the Old Guard, and I did. And yeah, again, lots of tweaks in my system since the last time I watched it. I added the projector. I downloaded all my files from my AVR. I said.
I almost spit out my drink and I took a sip.
I know.
That was great.
But
downloaded my tweets. That is fantastic.
But lots of tweaks since I watched it last, and yeah, it's just so impressive. I mean, it looked great. Having the 123-inch screen.
Yeah.
And Charlie's running around. Life size was pretty good. And then just a great movie, and it sounded phenomenal. Yeah, again, I don't have anything to add besides what you said last week. But
what about that scene?
Again, everything that the Gray Man wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like this had everything that it didn't have.
It's so sad.
That scene in the warehouse where they,
that
get
scene, the opening
ambushed.
scene, yeah,
Yeah.
and the gunfire and everything, and the
It's
bass
just-
in that, it was just absolutely,
it's so crazy.
punching you in the gut, tactile feel. But what I was talking about was the fight on the plane.
Well, yeah, I would say that, and
Wasn't
even like
that
the
fantastic?
like the kind of like the plane going down and
Yeah.
all that. The sound was like I said, the sound was great. I didn't take notes. I watched this one just
No.
to watch it and have fun.
No, but
But,
that's what we're
But
going
yeah,
for
it was,
here, buddy. Yeah.
it was really impressive. Almost went to Extraction after that, but I went down some other rabbit holes instead, so I didn't get to that. But yeah, it was really, really good.
Yeah. Well, it is. Now I want to go watch it again.
I know.
I
That's
hate
the
that.
problem, right? Well, now I'm waiting for the sequel. I was like, where's the sequel?
I know.
You
I know. It's she is so good though. You know what else?
Yeah.
You know what actually is I'm probably gonna watch by next week? Aeon Flux.
Oh, we did that not too long ago.
I
right?
know,
Remember on
but
the
you
other-
go down
on,
that Charlize Theron rabbit hole, and it's
know.
like I said, it's like I love it. It's that or Italian Job. That's
Yeah,
another good
that's a
one.
good
with,
one.
I mean, yeah. It's so
Well, Fury Road.
Fury Road is another one. Yeah, that's a. I
Which I
reviewed-
don't own.
I
I
think
don't
I
own that right
reviewed-
now.
I didn't review Aeon Flux on this podcast.
No, we did it on.
We
chat
did it
a
on
long
chat,
time
but I
ago.
didn't do the home theater version of it. But that's another one. But I'm wondering how many people have seen the Old Guard. How many of our listeners have seen it? I feel like it doesn't get a lot of love.
It
Yeah.
doesn't get a lot of love, but it's such a great movie.
You know who did talk about it? And I remember when it came out, and I remember it distinctly. Ara from HT Guys, and it
Yeah.
was kind of before. I'm not even sure if this was before the first time I talked to him in person, but he had seen it and he really, really enjoyed it. And he was saying like, this could have been in the theaters. And I still,
Right.
and he's a little older than I am, but it's a comic book movie, and nothing against Ara. I mean, he's a friend of mine now, but I'm like, it just struck me as like, hey, that's so cool, because it feels like this plays to a younger audience, people that
Right.
would know what it was. But I mean, he's also a fan of good movies, and I think it is a great movie too. So,
It is.
but it's great home theater experience. Another great job by Netflix, and that's why we talked about it 2 weeks in a row.
Right. Well, and that's the other reason why I didn't do Extraction, because like we don't need to talk about the same two movies
yeah, exactly.
2 weeks in a row.
But John, another one that's getting love 2 weeks in a row. You inspired me.
Yeah.
Billy the Kid.
Yeah.
And I told you, did I tell? Oh, I told you last week I was going to buy it. I bought it.
I knew you bought. Well, you bought it on the show, so I knew
Oh,
that
that's
you
right.
bought
Okay.
it. And then, I kept checking the notes to see when it was going to show up on there, because I wasn't sure if you were going to get to actually watching it or not.
Yeah.
And I don't know how far you've gotten or anything.
I think I'm 2 episodes in, and I can't get
Okay.
enough. I just need to get more time to watch it. You know the
Isn't
stuff
it good?
you know the stuff that's going on with me right now.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I can't tell everybody enough how great this is. And the home theater part of it is fantastic. It
it's
is
so good.
fantastic. The gunshots
Yeah.
are so good. The gunshot at the end of episode 2. I don't want to spoil anything for
I
anybody.
say you'd have to refresh me too because I don't remember. But
I'll tell you afterwards. But the gunshot at so basically, Billy is the story starts out. He's a child, like
right.
probably I'm guessing 12.
Oh,
Thir-
I didn't even think that. I was thinking 8 or
No,
9. But
no, because it only jumps ahead 6 years. They open the show and they open the show with him as Billy the Kid, right? He's the
Right.
grown, but
yeah,
he's
you're
still
right.
just
It's
a
only
kid.
like 6 years.
And it says
later,
6 years
so-
earlier, and it goes to
Right.
him being a kid. So I'm thinking Billy the Kid is probably 19, 18, 19 there. And then
So he was
the
12,
younger
13.
version is 12 or 13, right? So that's what I'm going with. So this little kid, he's learning how to use a handgun, right? At that time period in the old West.
Right.
And the shot, now he's an older teenager here later on, but he's flipping in the mirror. He's like, and he's doing his thing. But it's all his gun's unloaded, right? So he doesn't really fire it. You just hear the click, which sounds fantastic. It sounds like and you'll hear it. You'll hear the click, click, click. That culmination of everything at the end of episode 2. When that gun goes
I know
off.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
And then he looks at that guy. He looks at, and I don't want to say who the guy is or anything, right? But when you get there in the show, you're gonna. I'm not spoiling it for you. I'm just building the anticipation. And when you get there, you're gonna be like, oh, it is one of the greatest endings to a show. You know, and you're like, that was so awesome. And he just stares at him. But not only that, how calm he was before that, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's paying, and he's just sitting
Super
there,
cool.
and he's
Yeah.
like, whew, and you, bang, and the gunshot was like, I could feel it. I was like, bang. I was like, oh, what a great shot. And I actually felt bad for the, but the guy is like, and he just stared at him like, that's right. That's right. Don't mess with me. Oh, so, and you already
I'm glad
know,
you like I said,
it is so
man,
good.
do yourself a favor, get the 7-day free trial from Epix if you haven't, and watch that show. It is so good.
Or
and yours is better because you're watching it on Kaleidoscope.
yeah,
So
I was just
going to
say,
way better
or
than-
you could
than
go
mine.
buy a Kaleidoscope and buy it for
Yeah.
$19.99.
I'll probably buy that show
It's so good
when I get mine.
Yeah,
Just
it
to
is
have
that
you know.
good. It is that good. It's I even the image that I have up for YouTube of him, and it's got the Billy the Kid, and it's got the picture of him with the hat.
Right.
Now I love seeing that image now. His hat, that poster of him. It's so good. It is. I love it. Good job,
Yeah,
John.
and again, it's one of those shows that would have completely gone.
Where did you hear about it?
I don't even know. I think I was like on IMDb or something, and it just had a poster for it, and I was like, "Oh!" Or it showed up on Apple TV. It showed up somewhere,
Yeah.
and I was like, and I'm always I like westerns. I gravitate to that stuff anyways.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna get to that show eventually," and then I put it on the Just Watch app, and I was like, "Whenever I'm done with something, I'm gonna go and watch this."
Yeah.
But it wasn't worth nobody told me about it. Nobody
okay.
had talked about it and said, "Hey, this is really good" or anything. I just saw the poster and wanted to see it. So,
Yeah.
and I was like, I don't want to talk it up too much, but I was really blown away. I thought the show was great.
But even
And
the
then
HD,
the theater experience was
Yeah.
also really good.
but the landscape shots in HD looked really
Yeah.
good. They honestly, it's like, I didn't watch it on Epix, so I don't know how it's streamed, but I know like what I was getting, there's some shots where the wagon, they're going across country and they're like on almost at a ledge, right? And you see the mountains in the background, but there's a drop off. It actually had a 3D image to it. It looked, and you know what it reminded me of? And it doesn't look as good as this, but it did look like Lord of the Rings type landscapes that you were seeing,
Right.
but it was of the Old West, and it's that majestic. It's the cinematography is really good, and yeah, it's not HDR, it's not 4K, but the HD is just really nice. I think the way it's shot helps that a lot. So and the dusty you could see the dust, the smokes when they're sitting by a fire, stuff like that. The image is really nice. So, like I said, I can't wait to sit down and watch it again. Just so good. So, all right. You want to get to all right. Let's talk home theater wise for Malignant. We'll do that, just the home theater part. You and I will talk Malignant. Let me pull up. I watched it. Obviously at 4K, DTS Master Audio.
You watched it on Kaleidoscape?
Yes.
So you bought, okay.
So I own it.
Okay. So I watched it on HBO Max, and it also had 4K UHD, but 5.1 audio.
Yeah.
So you said that's what you had too. So it doesn't have an Atmos mix, I guess.
No, because I pulled it up. I have the image up here on the HBO Max, and it only has the 5.1. So that's all it has, right? Even the Blu-ray disc is only DTS 5.1.
Okay.
So on Kaleidoscape, the DTS 5.1 was nice. It's as I said with Steve earlier, it really wasn't anything to write home about. Did you find it to be engaging?
I actually kind of think it was really good.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, of all things, I thought the home theater experience of this movie was pretty good, because there was lots of, you hear things in the attic, and you hear, it's a haunted house movie. So I thought there was a lot of ambient sound.
There were
things, doors creaking over here, footsteps in the attic and things. And I thought the separation, again, it was all mixed with Neural X, but I thought the sound design was actually pretty good. On this. And I thought it looked really good. Like the HDR, I thought the 4K, I thought all that was excellent.
So on the Kaleidoscape, I felt the same. I felt like it was really good, but it wasn't like I said to Steve earlier that there was a scene where I was like, oh, that was really cool. Like something off to the side where I was like, oh, I got to make note of that. And I forgot to check it out. But it was, when I say it was something that nothing to write home about, I wouldn't know how to stamp this out. I wasn't.
It wasn't even like, it wasn't even as good as Old Guard or anything. Like, I'm not putting it up in those categories where it was like, oh, it was like Stranger Things or,
Yeah. So,
it wasn't like that.
Right. But do you see what I mean by like, there's nothing to write home about? It means like, it can be really good all the way through, like reference level. But as demo material, I'm having a hard time saying like with Old Guard, looked at, you might not know the timestamp, but you're like, remember that, hand-to-hand combat inside the plane, or when they all got executed at the beginning, all of the, you have those scenes. In this one here, it felt more like it was just good. Like you said, good ambient sound.
It was good. Yeah.
It's a good home theater experience, but it's hard to pinpoint.
In the gut.
Yeah.
There was no deep bass, no punch in the gut type of scenes.
Right.
But there was a lot of atmosphere, I thought. Like, I thought there was a good use of all the speakers.
Yep.
So,
And like you said, the 4K picture was really nice on both. You enjoyed it it was on HBO Max of all things.
HBO Max, yeah.
But HBO Max with 4K, Dolby Vision, it had Dolby Vision. I think it has Dolby Vision. It's saying it up there.
It might. I don't have that.
Yeah, but it doesn't have no Atmos. So, but even still, the sound, the DTS mix was great for me. Just not something, like I said. But
yeah, I don't think it's a reference level movie or disc or anything like that. But it was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah. But we will add on to this. Our first ever, we're going to talk spoilers afterwards, because there was... all right. we'll leave it at that. John and I have some opinions about the movie itself and maybe why, and why we don't think it's actually a reference because we weren't as invested. So stay tuned. That'll be coming up. But yeah, that's it for our home theater experiences. Our main topic this week. All right. So.
Oh, I forgot we had another movie.
Oh yeah, we got.
I thought we were going right into Malignant.
No. We're going.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
we got
have
our
all these
main
notes.
topic this week, John.
Yeah.
All right. I think this one, we might get in trouble with the listeners on this one.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. A lot of people are gonna be like, "Why? What?" King Arthur from.
I don't know. I love this movie. So.
Me too. That's why it was so.
I don't know if
for
we're
us
getting
to
in.
pick it.
I don't know if we're getting in trouble, but I love.
Oh,
this
I don't
movie.
care. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I love my listeners, but but King Arthur from 2004 with Clive Owen,
Keira Knightley, Stellan Skarsgård.
Yep. Yeah. Did you say last week he was Merlin or because he's not Merlin?
I thought he was Merlin, but he's not.
He's leading
the Saxon.
Saxons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Merlin was I don't know who the actor is that played Merlin, but
right. But yeah, it
had Ray Stevenson is in it, Ian Griffith, a bunch of people. Oh, yeah. Mads Mikkelsen. I had forgot Mads Mikkelsen was in this movie. Yep. And then I was watching it and I was like, oh, he's awesome.
Yeah. He was great in it.
Great character. Yeah.
We got notes. I really, really enjoyed this. Here's the thing. As a home theater experience, you got to be honest. The picture it got better as you went on. I will say that. But I think that's because as you go on with it, you get used to that picture because it's just a Blu-ray from 2004. Right. The blacks are very like black. It's like very dark. There's not a lot of detail in the shadows and stuff.
Right.
But then as you went on, you started to get some almost like HDR. There were a couple later on, like a barn scene or something. I think I have them in the notes. We'll see as we go through. But that's what it was. 29 minutes and 30 seconds. Arthur and Lancelot in the barn.
Right.
I put that in the notes, and I'm like, it looks really nice. And I'm like, but the whole movie isn't like that. And there's some really grainy parts to it too.
There are. Again, this is not a reference disc.
Home theater disc, yeah.
Home theater disc by any means. But I thought, honestly, this was one of the most vibrant movies I've seen in a long time.
Yes.
Like the color, it was so rich, this movie. The greens, even like the stark whites with the snow and stuff.
What about the reds in or the like almost like cranberries in their robes or capes or whatever they had, their uniforms or their armor and everything. Right. It looked really nice. I can't even imagine how great it would look if this got a 4K.
I wish it would get a 4K. Yeah,
I know
4K transfer.
It's a fun movie. Now I watched the theatrical. That's all that was available to me on Kaleidoscope.
Yeah, I watched the director's cut, which again, there's only a couple of minutes difference, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the director's cut entailed. But I know it threw our timestamps off a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
But because some things I was putting down, and I was like, well, I think that's the same thing you just put, you would put down.
Right.
But yeah, it, like I said, I just thought the color, I thought it was super, like I even put it in my notes. There's one scene where, they're in the snow and Mads Mikkelsen's character, and he's got an eagle that he releases, and the yellow of the claws and the beak against that white.
Yes.
I just thought the contrast, that stark yellow against that white background, it was so vibrant. It looked so good that I was like, I had to make note of it to make sure to talk about it. Yeah. Because it was, like I said, it was really, really good.
Yeah. You had that at 1 hour 30. 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah.
get to my notes.
Yeah,
here.
it says 1 hour,
Yeah,
3
1
minutes.
hour,
Yellow of the
103:30.
claws and the beak. I saw that too. I didn't stamp that one, but I remember distinctly what you're saying because you were like, oh my God, it looked so good. But yeah, so the sound in this, I thought it was really good. It was DTS Master Audio 5.1. We both upmixed it with Neural X.
Right.
Nice to see you using Neural X now.
I am. Yep.
But I thought the bass was punchy. I thought the dialogue was crystal clear there, and there's some nice stuff going on, nice pans when we get into some of the battles and stuff like that. The opening, I said it has some nice bass rumbles to it. That's what I had in my notes. So the opening was pretty cool. It had, like I said, had the nice bass rumbles. At 34 minutes, I called it They Ride. Nice bass and full room engagement as they open the doors to the castle and they all ride off. But it was weird. Like they were already out and riding, but they're opening the door. So I didn't understand that part, but I just loved the home theater part of it. It was so good. And then because you had the base of the horse's feet, the hooves,
right,
going thumping along. But then you also had those big, heavy doors and the hinges and everything going on. And I was looking for a pan there, like where they pan to the left and the right as the doors. But I didn't really hear that. But I did hear like the whole room was like it took the whole room to open these big, heavy doors, which I thought was really cool. Let's see. Now, I'll just go through because I'm looking at your notes and most of them are what DJ said. No.
Well, some of them, and again, some of them I think
Do you want to interject
they're off a little bit.
So we'll go through the timestamps here.
Well, I was just gonna say it. Like for me, at 40 minutes, 30 seconds, there was some nice thunder.
Yeah, and
overhead engagement there.
Yeah, I had it at 37. The thunder and arrows.
So I think it was just we have the same scenes in some of these cases. It's just the stamps are off a little bit.
Yeah.
44 minutes, just the wind, the overhead speakers with the wind going through
was really nice.
Was really, really good.
I had 47:30, the snow and the drums. So I called it the snow, but
and I have it 50 minutes drums.
Drums and the picture looked awesome. Once the snow started falling, I think what that helped with, now that's where I had trouble earlier on, is I thought that, like I said, the black levels or the black was just, there was no detail in it. It just was like,
and it is a little grainy.
Yeah. Different scenes were. Some of them weren't so grainy, but and this is where I think movies like this suffer, and why I'm glad we did it, is that we're so used to watching 4K with HDR that we're used to seeing stuff in these, like in the shadows in the background. And when it just goes from like you said, how vibrant the colors were, and then like literally the detail falls off a cliff when you get into the shadows, because it just goes to pitch black. The gradation isn't there. And our expectations are what are making movies like this suffer, because we're like, oh, why can't it? Oh, that doesn't look very good.
Right, because at one point we watched this movie and was blown away by it. You know what I mean?
This was the best quality, right?
Yeah.
And now
in 06 or something, when it hit home video, we watched it and we were like, oh my God, this is incredible. It's on Blu-ray, So,
but it is still good, and so that's why I say, like, I had in my notes at 47:30, the snow. It's like, so now you're looking at Clive Owen and he's in his armor or whatever, and all of a sudden it was like a jump cut. All of a sudden it's just snowing on everybody. So you have those white flakes going in front of all of this vibrant, high contrast, stuff. And you're like, oh, wow, it just added a depth to it that looked really nice. And then later on in the movie, as they're going through the snow, I thought it looked really nice too. And the different, the shades in the snow and stuff I thought were cool. 50 minutes and 5 seconds, I have flame out. They throw a torch to the left and you hear it sizzle out on the ground, like lower, like on the floor. Outside, for me, it was outside my room. Those sounds sounded like it was coming, But it was a great pan off to the left. They took the torch, threw it down on the ground. I'm pretty sure it was into the snow. And you hear the
hiss.
the hiss of it sizzling out on the left, on the ground. Now, whether my speakers actually moved it there or that's my brain going, this is fantastic. I love this.
Right.
I don't care.
It doesn't matter because it was the same effect. Right?
I loved it.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly. 1 hour, 3 minutes, pretty much even. The thunder. And I also, did you notice that there was almost like a green hue to it, like almost like Aurora Borealis?
Was that the flashback?
Yeah,
scene?
where he remembers
Yeah.
his origin. Did you notice? And how vibrant
A lot
that
of
looked.
green. Yeah, a lot of green twins there. Or
I thought
tint
that was
there.
pretty cool and really nice sudden bass in that scene too. Just
Right.
a boom, boom, really, really cool. 1 hour, 8 minutes and 40 seconds crossing the ice. And I actually, you know what's funny? I think this is the scene that made me go to Batman Begins.
That's so funny because I have 1 hour, 8 minutes, 40 seconds, and it's a completely different thing, but we have the same timestamp.
Oh, really?
The same exact timestamp.
And and our movies are only 2 minutes off.
I know. Because for me, it was basically when he was sleeping and she was tiptoeing through the forest to Merlin.
Yep.
And you had, all the branches snapping and the wind and the footsteps and all. I thought that was a great scene.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
And then at 110 for me, when Arthur pulled Excalibur, and like the thunder
That's
and the bass and all that.
Yeah. And he was a little kid and he pulled it out.
Right.
Pulled out the Excalibur.
Pulled the sword. Yeah. I thought all that was great.
But
the
crossing the ice at what I had at 104, 108, it's just, and that's what made me think of watching Batman Begins.
Batman,
that ice scene. And I was like, oh, I got to hear that because it sounded so good here. And it was in the same effect that as they're like going across and it's like,
the ice creaking and
yeah.
Yeah.
And then at 113, that battle on the ice, I don't ever remember it sounding that good. I've never
that's
had
why
a
I just
system
said
like this. I was like, oh.
what DJ said because it was awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I didn't have anything to add to it.
No,
but-
that's why I gave it 2 boxes of popcorn. For DTS Master Audio from 2004, this scene has never sounded better, but I'm like, if you own this disc, definitely throw this on and check out this scene. If you haven't seen it in a while and you've upgraded your system in the last 10 years, oh my God, the amazing pans that this has, the deep bassy more ice cracking, that their arrows are flying because
yeah. Well, and even
Such
what
a
I
good
noticed
scene.
too also was like kind of the end of the scene where the bodies are floating underwater and you can hear the water bubbles and all that stuff.
That's
going around and that was really awesome too.
I love scenes like that where you go from 2 different environments and your room environment changes. Like you're above the ice, obviously, and you'll hear wind and whatever, and you'll hear screaming.
And then you go below the water.
You go below, and everything. Your whole room goes boom, 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 boom.
Right.
And you'll hear like you said, the bubbles and the little intricacies. So much to that, and that's why I was like, oh, I didn't think I was going to give this any boxes of popcorn. It's an older disc. I can't, but that one really, really deserves it. So, 1 hour, 36 minutes, 5 seconds. I don't know why I got so intricate considering like around the 136 mark, pulling back.
136.05.2.
Yeah, exactly.
Star date 136.05.2. Captain's log.
Exactly. The first shot of the final battle, and you hear the tension of the strings when they're like, you hear that. I can't even make the noise, but that pulling back of that bow, and you hear that tension. It was subtle, but it's so good. It's so and then when the camera pulls back for the long shot, so now you're looking at the whole group, and that same string is being pulled back. It actually moves to the right channel, the right side. So like it's on your screen in the center, and then they pull back, and now that archer or whatever is off to the right. The the sound moves with it. It was just really,
Right.
really cool. Really like that. And then just the final battle.
Yeah.
I gave it a box of popcorn. The score, as I put in my notes, final battle. You wrote again what DJ said.
Yeah, because again, I didn't have anything else to add to it. It was just, pretty good scene.
So yeah, well, I mean, the score was totally Jerry Bruckheimer. I felt like you could hear like all of his movies here. You
Yeah.
know, it just sounded, but it adds to the scene. But then you have arrows flying, the beautiful green grass. The picture looks great. The smoke and the
Right.
fire. Did you notice that? That to me is where I felt like, all right, maybe I'm seeing some HDR here, because
Right.
you have the bright fire, but then the smoke actually had some nice black and gray detail in it. Nice shadows in there. Really, really look
Right.
good. And the other thing I liked was the skin tones. So
yeah, the paint, the war paint.
right. But like what we were saying about going under the water and above the water, you have regular people with no war paint, but then you go to the
Right.
people with the war paint, and because it was like it was white. They just smeared like white all over them, and then they had some art with, or was it a blue?
I see it like a pale blue.
Pale blue. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then they had some artwork there too.
Right.
And just it, and then the contrast with like, it felt like Clive Owen had been in like a tanning booth compared to everybody.
Right.
He looked like very
Yeah,
like,
he was
tan, and and I'm like, wow. And that's part of that vibrancy too. It's like the skin tones are very vibrant on the screen.
Right.
I don't know if that was 100% natural, but it worked.
yeah, probably not. But
I don't know. I enjoyed it. And then again, like we were saying all along, the armor and the costumes during this entire battle. And it was just, I really enjoyed this.
yeah, I did too. I had a great time watching this movie.
Yeah.
If everybody doesn't like it, I'm sorry, but I love it.
No, but you know what?
So.
Let me see what it is on, let me see how much it is. King Arthur on the $9 on Amazon, $9.99, $10 on
$9.99.
Amazon. I don't know.
Worth the $10.
I think it is, but I could see somebody being like, "Why did they?" I mean, I've spent more on *Malignant*.
I think it's a bet. I think it's worth the $10 for the movie itself.
Right.
Maybe not necessarily for the home theater experience, but I think it's a $10 movie easily.
Yeah, but then you
It's so
add in
fun.
that battle on the ice. I really like
there's some good
that.
stuff.
The
There are
final
some good
battle is
stuff
really
in there.
good for $10. I know we've all
Yeah.
spent worse, and it's like we'll get to that in a minute. No, no, it wasn't that bad, but no, I'd say, I don't know. And this is why I'm glad we don't make any money off of that. I would hate
Right.
to have somebody run out and buy it, and they only said that because they want us to buy it. No, I don't care. I really enjoyed it.
We make no money, and
off
Jeff
of that.
Bezos does not cut me a check
Nope,
if you go
nope,
and buy this movie.
I don't do that.
So-
I just think as home theater, it's a fun one. As a movie, I really enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
all right. I think we did good enough on that.
yeah.
All right, John. Our first ever spoilers, John. Spoilers. So we're gonna play.
Spoilers.
We're gonna get the popcorn
I
going.
think we had spoilers on King Arthur just now, but that movie's
Not really.
18 years old. So
It's also a well-known story.
yeah, it's
King
King
Arthur.
Arthur. So
Popcorn's popping. We're about to talk spoilers. So if you haven't seen *Malignant* yet, you might not want. Here's your final spoiler warning.
The data tells me there is potential danger of plot and/or character dynamics that could go rotten.
Pull out that bad.
haven't
boy.
heard that for a while. Yeah.
Yep. So we're gonna talk *Malignant*. We're gonna get into some of the plot points or lack thereof, and see how that incorporated with the home theater experience. Or
Tell us how you really feel, DJ.
So here's the thing, John. It's for people that don't know, John. There's a term we have from Brightside Chat where I kind of Johned this one.
You
like-
did.
And that's where I start to pull out like little, like, I'm like plot points that didn't add up. And John's
Right.
notorious for it.
I am.
Yep.
But not in movies like this. I'm way more
Right.
forgiving in movies like this
Okay.
because I don't expect
A lot.
anything. Yeah, I don't expect a lot.
Okay. So, here's where, and this kind of took me out of the home theater experience too. And that's why I wanted to talk about it, is because sometimes the story, if it's not living up for you and you're thinking more about the story than you are about what's going on, and maybe that's why I'm like, oh, it just wasn't the greatest home theater experience. But and as we said, it was good. I did notice stuff, but here's the biggest plot point that bothered me the most, and I'd like to discuss this with you.
Okay.
The
Because I don't know what you're gonna say.
So- This movie's about, she has a malignant, what would be, you'd think it was a tumor, but it's not. It's
Right.
a twin,
a malignant growth, right?
a malignant growth, a twin, which that is a real thing. That you
Right.
can actually have one. You can have a twin that grew, and they tried it. It's a real thing. I don't want to get into all that. What is in this movie is not a real thing. I am fine with that. I get, like,
Right.
okay, we're going to advance this for the point of the story. I understand that. Even Jen understood that. But where we had an issue, and the two of us said it separately to ourselves, and then when we talked about it afterwards, we were both saying the same thing, and we're like, oh my God. John, why is this tumor controlling the radio? They
Right.
never explained that. And that
Right.
took me out. So I'm fine with expanding or expounding on that tumor idea or on that twin thing. And that I'm fine with the supernatural. I get that. I love comic book movies. But there was not a moment in this movie where they explained, it seemed pretty grounded. Even to the point that the way she walked backwards and stuff, that was
Right.
so cool. And that explained a lot. But how was this thing controlling the radio?
Well, I also don't understand the supernatural elements here.
Because it's never
like
explained.
you said, right, because like you said, it is grounded in, somewhat reality as far as the malignancy goes. So I also didn't understand like the super strength part of it or the controlling electricity part of it. Like, I don't get
Right.
that either. Because like you said, they did say, oh, he's the devil or whatever, but he wasn't the devil.
But he wasn't. That was in her head.
Right.
She called
Right.
him that. But see, and that was another point that I was like, all along in the movie, you're thinking it is supernatural. Maybe it is the devil because it's a horror
Right.
movie. I get it. Maybe it is the devil. So movies like horror and comedies are very similar in their structure. Like,
right.
in a comedy, you have some misdirection and the payoff is the joke, right? And we all laugh. In a horror, you have some misdirection and that's the jump scare, right? So
Right.
like in Dumb and Dumber, I'm trying to think of like in Dumb and Dumber, and he's like, oh, and it's a very quick misdirection, not the whole movie, but the misdirection of the joke is like, Lloyd's, I think, was it Lloyd or out looking for a job? And he's like,
Right.
did you find a job? And he goes, no, there's no jobs unless you want to work 40 hours a week, which is
Right.
that's the joke, right? So that's the misdirection. Like, oh, there's no jobs. And then they hit you with reality. That's funny. Here, they had a bunch of misdirections that never paid off. They never paid off. They're like, it's controlling the radio. How's it doing that? I don't know. It's the devil.
Right.
Well, no, that's just in her head. But
Right.
the radio thing, and you could say, well, oh, maybe that was in her head. No, they were taking notes off. The normal people were taking notes off of the radio or TV
Right.
or it was making lights explode. How? So
Right.
while you're trying to figure out, which is part of the fun of these movies, and you're like, okay, what's going on here? And I thought maybe at the end, she was going to be still in the same room as the beginning. And it was like all in her head. And she just, I figured out that it was a tumor. It got activated when she banged her head. I got all of that. But where's this control thing coming from? And that kind of
Right.
that threw me and took me out of the movie, and then never paid off.
Right.
So
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I actually didn't figure a lot of it out. Like I knew at some point like that she was involved in it. I didn't figure out the malignant growth thing until they showed the reveal.
Yeah.
Like I didn't figure that part of it out. I knew that somehow she was, a dual personality. Like I figured it was
Yes.
her.
Yeah, same
somehow.
here. Yeah.
I didn't like I said, I didn't really get the whole I'm
Right.
gonna like crack your head open and I have this face,
And I'm fine with that. That was neat. It was fun. Jen made a great point about like the movie Split.
Right.
Okay. In Split, he kind of does the same thing with the electricity and stuff. And
Yeah.
they explain it. They say your head fires off electricity. Neurons are firing. So he's using that power. It's extending past him. That's explained. In this movie, in Malignant, they never say anything. They never say anything about it. Like this thing is controlling lights even outside the building, like in the house, and the street
Yeah,
light went
electricity
out.
all over the place.
Right? It's
The whole grid.
not a single reference to how, why, anything, and
Right.
nothing. And even like to your point of like, how did she get the power? The strength, right?
Right.
Well, how does a mom get the strength to get the car off her kid? I don't know.
Right,
Mind over
right.
matter. I could justify, but I agree with you. Like,
Right, but like she's jumping down the fire escape. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
she's got
she's
got
awesome
abilities
at parkour running backwards.
exactly, because the cop couldn't keep up with her. Like she
Right.
couldn't do the same thing. So she had these superhuman physical traits.
Oh yeah, it's like she was breaking
They-
her arms to run
Right.
backwards.
But they didn't really explain where that came from. Like
Right.
ultimately there was still something supernatural was taking place here, but they didn't really give you any
Right.
you didn't get any explanation really, or you don't really know where he was coming from.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
So
when you thought it was the devil,
Right.
then they explained it away that it isn't. It's
Right.
just in her head, and it's two minds in her head trying to fight for dominance.
right.
I can wrap my head around that. That's a great story.
Right.
And my wife was super excited about that. She's like, "Oh, this is my wheelhouse. I love this idea." She even loved that, but she's like, "What the heck was the superpower stuff and the supernatural?" She's like, nobody explained it. And it's like, had they, it would have been even a better movie, I think. Because then because we're on board for that. Like The Omen,
Well, yeah, like I
all
said,
of those
there's
movies, those are great.
you suspend a certain amount of disbelief when you go into these movies, and
Yeah.
so you're just kind of expect those things to happen, but
Right.
generally, by the end of the movie, you've gotten some kind of like it pays off, like
Right.
why the things were happening that you were watching.
Yeah.
I didn't like hate this movie, honestly. Like
Right.
I had a good time.
That's
like
what
I
said.
watched
I was
it. It was fine.
entertained. It was
But
fine. Right. And
I didn't quite get the hype that caused me to watch it in the first place. You know what I mean? Because like the Twitterverse was just like you've got to watch this movie,
This is
and
great.
blah
It's
blah 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 blah.
crazy.
And I'm like, okay, I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
It was fine.
So
but
that was my reaction to Steve, as you heard earlier
Yeah.
in the podcast. I was like, like he didn't like Midway. I love Midway.
Right.
So,
Right.
okay. So
now you're even.
not really, because I like this more than he likes Midway.
Okay.
But but that's also me. I like almost anything, pretty much. But no, I was entertained. We both
Yeah.
Jen and I, when it was over, we were like, it was entertaining.
Yeah.
But that, as you said to me, as you texted me after you finished it, you're like, well, that was something.
It was something.
It was something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can't get a lower rating than that from us. It was something.
Right.
We'll tell you it was something. So that is it. That is it for this week's
Think
show.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that all you got?
That is all I've got.
All right. Not bad. Not a bad show.
Yeah.
Oh, kept things lively.
Yeah.
John, I was actually going to ask you this off air. But what do you think of doing 12 Strong next week on Netflix? You can get it on
12
Netflix.
Strong.
Yep.
I
Chris-
mean, I'm fine with it. I don't know what it is.
Okay.
but
Chris Hemsworth.
I thought we were going to do Prey or something. Isn't that what we were going to do?
Oh, yeah. All right. Can
But
we
I mean,
do a
either way,
double
it doesn't
feature?
matter.
So,
Depends on how long you want the show to be.
oh, I don't care. Well, here's the thing. We definitely should do Prey because that's coming out.
Yeah.
Well, today.
Friday. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, as we
Yeah.
talk.
Today.
So we'll definitely be talking Prey. All right. And I really think we should. You're absolutely right. We got to break that down. But 12 Strong, my dad saw. And he
on
recommended it
Netflix?
to me.
Okay.
Yeah, he watched it on Netflix. It is.
And you said it's Chris Hemsworth?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
I've
also-
never heard of it.
12 Strong. So it's Chris Hemsworth. And it's a war thing where my dad described it to me. It's something to do with that
wait, is this in a
Iraqi
couple
war.
of years? Is this a little older movie?
2018.
I've
yeah,
seen it.
I've
I've seen it.
Oh, have you?
I have, but I'll watch it again. But
Okay.
yeah, now it came back to me when you said it was like a war movie.
Right.
Because I saw this back when it came out, like in 2018.
Okay. So I am going to. I can get it on Kaleidoscape in
Okay.
4K. So I'm going to grab that, and then you can watch it on Netflix. But it's
All
one
right.
when my dad recommends something to me, kind of got to
Yeah.
go with that because he doesn't want to watch a lot of movies.
Okay.
So and the situation with him. So I figured we'd do that
Yeah.
next week.
Okay.
So we'll do a double feature next week. Prey and
Awesome.
12 Strong. And I think they look. I have high hopes for Prey. I'm praying
Yeah.
for high hopes for Prey.
I'm praying for it. I'm praying
Okay.
for Prey.
And I also have high hopes for 12 Strong. I know I'm going to like it because my dad did.
Yeah.
So spoilers.
Yeah, I
I'm gonna
remember.
argue with him.
Actually, I remember it being a good movie. I don't remember all the details about
Yeah.
it, but I'll
So-
definitely watch it again.
So we're going to have 2 breakdowns next week. I'm going to have notes on
Okay.
both. So looking forward to that. So, all right. Really excited for that. Really excited for next week now. Don, it's only a week away.
I know.
Look at that.
Be here before you know it.
Boy, you're not. Yeah. All right. That'll do it for this week. Thank you to everybody for listening. And again, if you want to support the podcast, you can please go to YouTube. Just hit subscribe. Brightside HT on Twitter. BrightsideHomeTheater@gmail.com. Website, BrightsideHomeTheater.com. And of course, Patreon.com/BrightsideHomeTheater. John's favorite.
My favorite.
But thank you very much, everybody, for all of the support, monetary and otherwise, because it's the best community. We're having a blast. Love all the comments, the jokes. And let's get those screen grabs going. T-shirts. We're giving away T-shirts now.
Yeah.
So, all right. Have a great week, everybody. John, what do people got to do?
Push play.
There you go. It's go, push, play. It's
Go
just
push play.
let's try that again.
Go
John, what do
push
people got to do?
Go push play.
There we go. We're getting
Yeah.
there. We're smooth. Have a great week.
Take care.
Hey, Fred. This has been a Hey Fred production with theme music by Jeff Bernhardt and Throne Vault Productions.